Union in 2, Brazil 3, Argentina 4, unusual to see them with a 4x4, Czechoslovakia in 5, Kenya in 6, though they're not running their crack runner from the final in Kitter. They must be saving him for the second round, and the Cubans in lane 7. So the Kenyans have run a good first leg. They're up alongside the Cubans. Of course, the stagger doesn't change until the 500-metre point. The Jamaicans are down at the moment. The Russians have got right away from them, but the Jamaicans will be anchored by Bert Cameron. The Kenyans have set up a very good race here for themselves, and so have the Soviet Union. And the Czechoslovakians are not far away. The Jamaicans are now quickly coming through. So in the back straight, it's Kenya away from the Soviet Union, Czechoslovakia, then Jamaica. Cuba's in 5th placing. They've moved up to 4th, and then a gap to Brazil, and tailing right out is Argentina. So the first 4 to go through, and the Kenyans, who have had a wonderful World Championships, their distance runners have been quite exciting. And Kitter, of course, who broke the national record in the 400 metres. The Soviet Union chasing about 6 or 7 metres away. And the Jamaicans and the Brazilians have gone past the Czechoslovakians. Jamaicans are well back at the moment. The Cubans have had a very good leg. So as they go into this third leg, it's Kenya clear, Soviet Union second, a third Cuba, then Czechoslovakia, Jamaica and Brazil. Winthrop Graham is running this leg for the Jamaicans, Proskin for the Soviet Union. The Kenyans have Saw, the Czechoslovakians Kuchek, and the Cubans Martinez. And Hernandez will anchor for the Cubans. The Brazilians have their crack 800-metre runner Barbosa. Karochin goes for the Soviet Union, and Cameron for the Jamaicans. And Andra for Kenya. So the Kenyans holding on to about a 2-metre lead from the Soviet Union. The Cubans in 3rd placing, and the Jamaicans. So it's 4 plus 4 to go through. And away go the Kenyans. The big man from the Soviet Union, Karochin, in 2nd placing. Hernandez anchoring. He was quite outstanding in the 400 metres, this young junior. And they've got a good break now from Cameron, who's in 4th placing, and then Barbosa for Brazil. Kenya about a metre up. So it's Ansra about a metre by 100-metre relay. And the United States team all wearing suits a la Florence Griffith. Not all of them wearing caps. 3 of them are. McRae goes without the cap. So it's quite an unusual sight, a spectacular sight, with the United States out in lane 7, Japan in 6, Hungary 5. Kovacs will give them a reasonable start. Then Uganda, People's Republic of China in 3, Spain and Great Britain. So McNeil gets the baton in the back straight for the United States. The Brits are fairly well down at the moment with Regis. Now goes to Glance, over to Glance, and Glance will then give it to Dennis Mitchell. So the US are going to go through comfortably, and the Brits are now going very well in lane 1. First 4 plus 4, and so the Americans with the suits. Mitchell gets the baton. The Hungarians are doing very well. So are the Japanese and the Brits and the People's Republic of China. So the US goes through from Hungary. Britain 3rd, Japan 4th, then the People's Republic of China, and the time 38.80. So the crowd really warming to the new gear that the Americans are wearing. That's not their #1 team, of course. Carl Lewis will do the anchoring in the finals. But 38.80, and the Americans comfortably through. From the outside, Ghana, West Germany, then the Italians, Soviet Union and Brazil. Tilly running the first leg for the Americans in 7, Canada 6, Cuba 5, Senegal 4 and Portugal in 2. So Johnson's going to have to be careful. And he waited, and away Jamaica. Johnson running very fast, as you'd expect. He's moving up on him quickly, and Johnson's going to hand it over to Mayhorn in the back straight. Canadians have got a flying start. So Jamaica, Canada, in the centre, Cuba, Senegal and Portugal. First 4 to go through, and the Jamaicans have done very well in that second leg. The changeover now for the Canadians. It comes to Williams, and running for Jamaica is Meghu. So Wright and Dwyer will be the last 2, and the Canadians are away. Williams have done a very good bend. The baton change was a bit sloppy. That they're safely through. The Jamaicans are chasing hard, and then behind those the Cubans and Senegal. But Canada goes through, and the time is 38.76, which is a touch quicker than the Americans. So they've struck a psychological blow there by running a little faster than the United States at 38.76.
So that's the situation in the earlier rounds today of the 4x100 first round heats, and certainly that's going to culminate tomorrow. It's finals day in the relays, and we're really looking forward to that. You mentioned that Used to love running in the relays because it
distance, and that's right. If you can see the first marker there, he's reached very, very close to that qualifying standard. You can see his personal best there of 8 metres 43, which is an extraordinary jump for Evangelisti. He's really kicked on since LA, and he's the darling of the Italian crowd. He gets a very good jump here. He has great speed, extends very well, and of course Evangelisti reached tremendous shots here. You can see that on the takeoff board, and his first jump actually was just over the qualifying standard of 7 metres 97. I think the intriguing thing is that Lewis is trying to achieve it at sea level. He won't go to altitude. I mean, he's had the opportunity to go to Mexico. He's had the opportunity to go to Colorado Springs and some of those places where you get absolutely perfect conditions. Beeman did get it at altitude. Here he is. Now look at that. That's magnificent just to watch this man. And look at that. It's how far past the qualifying standard. That's the big problem. We only get to see him for a short period of time.
I'm sure he's going to jump more than once in the final. I'm positive that if he's not injured in any way, shape or form, and he doesn't look like it, that he'll give it his best shot, not like in Los Angeles where he had that 200 to worry about. But I think you'll notice here, Paul, that he's back a bit from the board too when he hits it.
That's right. He's jumped 8 metres 36. With a very slight tailwind, and he just didn't seem to even extend himself. Look at the room he's got on that board. So when he puts it all together in the final, that's where it's going to count the business end of the competition. It's going to be superb jumping. Now this is Conley, the man who came to Canberra, won the World Cup. Now he had an abysmal first jump by his standards of 7:57. Now that was very comfortable, although fairly close to the mark. Conley, of course, still has to get himself back into gear after finishing second in the triple jump. He's doubling, and of course the triple jump takes such a pounding of your legs. Again, that beautiful smooth run up. Drops the hips. Look at the follow through and extension. He didn't extend as far as he could that time, and his jump ended up being 7 metres 99 to qualify. Here is your... Comes down on the runway. Great speed this man has. Stretches out, and that should be quite comfortable qualify. White flag up. Wait for the distance to come up. Myrick's, who jumped in the 1976 Olympic Games. The US boycott deprived him an opportunity in 80. Fourth in 1984. He actually competed in the 200 metres of the last World Championships, well across the qualifying mark, which is the first marker there.
We're currently watching the qualifying rounds of the men's long jump.
Jumper. Second in the European Championships last year with 8 metres 01. As you can see on the right of the screen, the fluttering wind indicator. A lot of wind down there on the runway. Sergei Laevsky, Soviet Union metallurgy student. And that's going to be very close on that mark. What a competitor after that terrible first jump of 7 metres. Qualifier, second attempt here, fouled his first jump. Throws in those short ones. Across the qualifying standard. What sort of flag? White flag. They are solid competitors, these men. Amian, who was second in Canberra in the World Cup, and is the current European champion where he jumped 8 metres 41. This man has jumped 8 metres 86 to get within 4 centimetres of the great Bob Beeman's world record. Extends beautifully. It's that speed that gets him.
Champion, twice European champion, twice Olympic champion, world record holder. Daley Thompson has done it all. But there's been some query on his fitness this season. He's in lane 3. Away, got a good start. Voss is in lane 1 and Vence out in lane 6. Thompson hasn't got a break on them. Voss still with him, and Vence, he's not getting away from them. Thompson, we thought he would. Voss goes with him, and the time's 10.68, and Ziggy Vence is delighted because Thompson hasn't got the break that he's normally got on them, and this really is going to be tough for him now. He waited then, and he got a safe start.
It's a big, powerful West German. Oh, he stretched out. He stretched out. After a poor 100 metres, This man is showing his fighting qualities in the world today. He's powered out a good jump, but didn't extend on it. And Jürgen Hinkson has departs the competition. He's in an awful lot of pain there. I don't know what the injury is, but it's the lower half of his leg. And the great ex-world record holder, Jürgen Hinkson, has had 3 misses in the high jump, and obviously he will be able to take no further part in this competition. Yes, this is Simon's 3rd attempt at the 201. Let's see, he's having a tremendous championships here, and hopefully he can get this. And he's got it. Great effort. He's been very competitive, Simon. Ziggy Vance in the decathlon, his 3rd attempt at 204. And he's out. 204, well below what Ziggy Vance can do for this event. Simon Pohlmann has cleared this height. Now, Simon, who is in 5th place in this competition with 2,649 points, Vance is ahead of him, so Simon should move in behind him or ahead of him. And Daly has missed.
In the bar higher and higher.
2 meters 19, and what a great jump. Christian Schenker's in 12th place in the competition, but certainly is going to be brought up because 2 meters 19 for those older high jumpers. This is a straddle man. Oh, and it's beautiful. What a wonderful clearance.
Conditions are quite appalling in the stadium at the moment for this heat of the 400 metres in the problems because of his injury. Got a good start, but so did Vincent Voss, and already Thompson's behind Vincent Voss, and the champion's in trouble because Voss and Vence are away, and Daly's got huge problems now. Vence is going to just shade Voss, and Thompson comes in last.
Daly is struggling at the moment. And he's got it. He's got it. Very good vault. That's superb for Simon. Height's normally well within his capabilities, but he's not having a good decathlon. 4 meters 80. And he's got it. He's a great competitor. Thorsten Voss of East Germany, the current leader in the decathlon, taking his 3rd attempt at 5 meters 10. It is raining, which makes things rather difficult for him. What a competitor, he's over.
Sydney viewers who are watching the World Track and Field Championships from Rome at the moment, we're recapping on day 6 of the championship yesterday, the men's decathlon, where we saw the demise for the first time in 9 years of the great man of the decathlon series, Daley Thompson at the moment.
Second Shaver in lane 5, first 4 to qualify. There's Gunnell, the champion of the Commonwealth, Oshkanatz in 4, and Martin, the American champion, in 3. Second Shaver, the one to beat in lane 5. Away. Oshkanat got a good start. So did Martin. They're with Second Shaver at the first. Gunnell well back. Oshkanat in front. Second Shaver's struggling. And the girl in lane 1, Piccaro, going well. Now Second Shaver's going to come through with Oshkanat. But Oshkanat qualifies with Second Shaver, Martin, who pulled up quickly after the line, and Piccaro. And Gunnell, who was very impressive in her heat, has missed out 12.66. So that's most interesting. Second Shaver, the world record holder, went into this event as an equal favourite with Donkova, but she was quite disappointing there, I thought. Oshkanat got a very good start. Martin was away well. Second Shaver seemed to take half the race to really get into stride, and Oshkanat comfortably over the second last in front. Now Second Shaver's clear of Martin and also Piccaro, and they're the 4 to go through. Cole just missing out from France, and Gunnell never really got into it. 12.66, and the wind reading, they're running into a slight headwind. So Oshkanat, who has had some victories over Second Shaver, including that memorable one in the World Cup in 1985, and is the current world indoor Lombardo, the Italian. So she must not break here. Away. Donkova got a very good start. She let Elwar out clearly, and Wiebel. Sakovic going pretty well, and in lane 2, Hightower. Donkova being shaded by Wiebel. The East Germans are going to have another victory here, and Wiebel goes through from Donkova. Elwar qualified, and so does Sakovic. So we got the 4 right, but we didn't get the first one right because Donkova, the favourite, has been edged out. No time up yet for Wiebel. And Foster was a brilliant winner in the 110 hurdles. This is more of a contest, I feel. Away. Weebel very slow. Donkover and Sackett-Shaver beat the East Germans out. Oskanat going hard with Weebel. Sackett-Shaver in front. Donkover behind her. Weebel and Oskanat. Sackett-Shaver clear. The world record holder's going to win. The GDR goes 2-3. Weebel second. Oskanat third. And I reckon Donkover's missed out. And they've run 12:34. It's a fabulous
situation.
world record holder.
Jackie Joyner on the first jump. 60.95 is the best jump at the moment of the competition, and that looks like it will be after Jackie Joyner's jump. Radke of East Germany on 6.95 on her first jump. Jackie Joyner, excellent opener for her. Good extension. Look at how far she gets her legs out. Smooth run. Good height. She has room on the board, so she can move up. They've already put the distance up on the... She's much better jump, I think. Hopefully, I'm looking for the flag. White flag, so she has one in. The 7th and 8th places are 6.33 and 6.35, so if she gets out her jump around the 6.60 mark, she'll reach that cutoff at this stage. This is round 2. Much better jump, good arch, good extension on that one, so I'll be very curious at the distance. Hopefully, it'll be a nice, good one. I think she's very nervous. She took a long time on the runway there. Yeah, it's much better on the board there. That's a good jump again. She's a solid competitor.
May have been injured. Let's have a look at her. This is her second jump.
This is Heike's second jump. We'll talk about it in a moment. High knee lift. Good jump there. We watch as she comes out of the pit. We've had Maury Plant looking very closely. As you can see, a limp out of the pit. We've had a good look at her. And I think, as you mentioned before, Raylene, she's definitely injured. Possibly something in the upper leg. Either hip or groin. Wait till you see the distance on this jump, however. She's hit the board well. Definitely something wrong, though, Raylene.
Now, here's Nicole Bowman. She's currently just out of the top 8. The top 8 to go through to the final 3 jumps. This is a most significant moment in her career.
This is a pressure jump for Nicole because she has to get more than 640 to tip the girl out. It's a good jump from Nicole. Wait for the flag. White flag on it. It's very, very important because she either winds up with the 3 jumps she's had or she gets another 3. She's third jumper on the runway, so she has to wait whatever happens if she does get out a good one. 6.63, almost a personal best. Well, that puts her in 8th place.
Is the equal world record holder, already the gold medalist in the heptathlon of these championships. Quite a superb all-round athlete. And here she goes, Paul. And currently she's leading the competition with 7.12, and she's receiving tremendous support now in the back straight.
Yes, the crowd's getting right behind her. They certainly know who the good athletes are around here. A lot of roar. That's a good one.
It's a white flag, Paul, so it's a legal jump.
The emotion and the information, your face-to-face is fantastic. TV or eyewitness news shows you the good and not just the tragic. Eye to eye, from us to you, person to person. TV or eyewitness news.
Never before has the competition been so fierce. Never before have you witnessed such football brilliance. Saturday at 2:30 sees Hawthorn take on the Sydney Swans in the qualifying final at VFL Park. A win here ensures a double chance of playing in the grand final, and a titanic battle seems certain. And then on Sunday, Woolston Grange have earned the right to play Southport and the QAFL preliminary final. And at the completion of the game, we cross to the MCG to pick up play in the elimination final between Melbourne and North Melbourne. Footy fever strikes all this weekend on TVO. Saturday night, the world's #1 female rock and roller sizzles and struts her way through a true blue musical event. Madonna, recorded live in concert, 6:30 Saturday night, exclusive to TVO. Richard Chamberlain as Blackthorn, the first Englishman cast on the terrifying shores of feudal Japan. Shogun, a saga of violence, samurai warriors, and forbidden love. From James Clavell's international bestseller comes Shogun, commencing 8:30 Monday night on TVO.
The World Athletic Championships are proudly brought to you by the Australian sugar industry and Queensland Rugby Union.
In Brisbane. It's great to have you aboard for our coverage. Another exciting night here on Network 10. But so far, East Germany has dominated the race for golden honours in Rome for these world titles. In fact, 3 of the 5 medals decided yesterday went to the GDR. 2 East German girls were pitted into equal favouritism for the 400 metres hurdles, but a determined young Australian by the name of Debbie Flintoff loomed as the potential threat.
I wonder if we'll get a finish like they produced for the men. Brown King, who's drawn alongside Debbie, is notoriously slow early, so Flintoff will look to have a good lead. Farmer's in good form. Almost set. Away. Steady start for Flintoff. Brown King, then Farmer, Hollander, Ulrich and Bush. They go to the first. Maybe Bush and Ulrich just in front of Debbie. Not much in it with Williams and Ambrosine. At the second, Debbie's run a good first 100 metres and going out hard is Farmer. Ulrich's with her and Bush is running a controlled race at the moment. Flintoff goes to that hurdle just behind Ulrich and Bush, and Farmer's up there with her. So Debbie way out in lane 8. Farmer made a bit of an error at that hurdle. Ulrich and Bush are now trying to turn on the power of Flintoff. Now switches legs. It's Flintoff in lane 8. Farmer's trying to go with Ulrich, and now Bush trying to go through an Hollander. Ulrich's well back into the straight. Flintoff might be just in front. Bush is drawing level. Debbie's usually very strong at the second last. Bush, Flintoff, Farmer's coming through. Then Ulrich, they go to the last. Bush has got it. Debbie's got to fight for a medal. She'll get a medal. Bush is going to win, and Flintoff will get the silver. Well done. Third Ulrich, fourth Farmer. Behind them Hollander, Ambrosine, and the 2 Americans, 7th and 8th Williams, and also Brown King.
Well, lane 8, did it take its toll, Raylene?
I think it did to a certain degree, but then you've also got to consider that Bush is about a second faster over the flat 400 metres than Debbie. So, in fact, Debbie's run a great race on Bush. Bush is renowned also for a poor hurdling, and she happened to get over them well in this race. Debbie hurdled beautifully from lane 8. She was under pressure all the way, having to run her own race.
Well, she certainly finished very strongly, which is one of the great benefits of this young Australian. Superb finish by Debbie Flintoff. Silver medal, our second of the World Championships.
Lane 8, did it worry you when you knew you'd drawn the outside again?
No, not at all. You do have to think of different tactics, though, because you go out there and you run your own race right from the very beginning. So we sat down as soon as we found out we had lane 8 and decided to go along and work out a rhythm that would suit lane 8. So it didn't worry me at all.
Coming towards the second last, and especially between the second last and the last, it looked like you might be out of the medals. Did it flash through your mind that you might miss a medal?
No, it didn't, because the last part of the race is always my strongest, and I knew as soon as if I got over hurdle 10 well, then I could do as well as I could over the last sprint, and that's how way it happened.
How does it compare with the Commonwealth Games gold medal?
Probably double the pleasure, I'd say.
Well, as Raylene said a moment ago, being second best in the world is not a bad achievement, and has given you the springboard now for Seoul, hasn't it?
Yes, it certainly has. I'm just really pleased. I've been ranked third in the world the last 2 years, and I'm really pleased to be climbing that ladder.
How have you found the pressure this year? There's been great expectation for you.
Oh, yes, but I put a lot of expectation on myself, and really, I try and put all the other expectations out of my mind and just do what I set out to do at the beginning of the year.
You've got a very good coach, Debbie.
I've got the best coach, you wouldn't believe it, and it's just a shame that he doesn't go around coaching other people, but I prefer to keep him to myself anyway.
Well, Raylene, a remarkable 12 months for Debbie Flintoff. It was only this time last year we were in Edinburgh and we saw her take that double gold. But interesting to note there where she says that she places more importance on the silver medal at a World Championship than the gold in the Commonwealth Games.
It's only obvious that you do that, David, because the Commonwealth is just a competition between the Commonwealth, amongst the Commonwealth, and the World Championships is the best event that you can possibly compete in. to see whether you're good enough to be out there winning or vying for gold.
Well, on that basis, how big a threat Debbie Flintoff in Seoul in '88?
As
Difficult,
I said,
isn't
it is difficult, especially in the 400-metre hurdles, because it's an event that is underdeveloped. It's developing now. Debbie's developing along with it. Her times are coming down all of the time, and I'm sure that she'll be in there. She's such a strong, tough, hard trainer that I'm sure she'll be out there in the final in Seoul. But who can say at this stage what'll happen?
That's right. Well, it's a remarkable feat when an athlete can return 4 years on to successfully defend a previous world title. But so far, the likes of Edward Moses, Stefta Kostanova, Sergei Litvinov and Calvin Smith are but a few who have successfully achieved that feat in Rome in 1987. Another is the American Greg Foster, who probably has been the happiest gold medalist of the meet so far. He took gold for the second time in the men's high hurdles.
So Jackson 2, Foster 3, McCoy 4, Ridgeon 6. Away. Foster not all that well away. McCoy led them into the first from Jackson, Ridgeon and Foster. Foster hit that one. McCoy's just in front. Foster's coming through with Kazanov. Ridgeon's out of it. Foster's taken the lead. He's got it won. Ridgeon's going to get second and Jackson third. And Greg Foster defends the championship. He runs 13.21 and he's pretty pleased about it all.
The understatement of the year, I think, pretty pleased about it. It is marvellous to see an athlete that really responds to victory like that. Occasionally we're a little bit ashamed of success, but I think that's fabulous to see.
The amazing thing, David, is that these guys have won before. And Greg Foster's been put under pressure in this race. He was squeezed tight by McCoy, even though McCoy at this stage has been knocked out because he's hit so many hurdles so hard and in fact comes last. But Foster, who has fallen over in races recently, has come through and won, and it's great.
Well, it's a totally different race to the one that he ran in Helsinki in 1983, but in 1987 in Rome, another gold medal to Greg Foster.
He was taking it easy, almost having a nap. He was near the Trevi fountain, and I'm not sure what he wished for, but I've got a feeling it might have been just this.
Greg Foster, you must be one of the happiest men in the stadium today.
I am very happy. With the way things have been going for the U.S. team, I was kind of under a lot of pressure. I thought I was under pressure. I got out kind of slow. I was so mad at myself, I just decided to just relax and just try to catch up gradually. And things turned out very well.
You almost exploded halfway through the race. You were behind early, and then suddenly, within about 2 hurdles, you're a metre up.
Well, I felt good about that. I say I got out behind, and I usually start pressing. I'm glad I didn't press. I basically just bared down and got my steps a little quicker and a little shorter, and things worked out well.
Now, earlier this season, you had a couple of disasters. For instance, in the World Indoors, you fell over. You unfortunately had to stop running in the Pan Am Games. Did you lose any confidence?
I lost a lot of confidence. My main goal here was to come out and not make any mistakes and go through this race completely whether I won or not. And, you know, I wanted to come out here and run well, and I came out and I did my job, and I'm happy for that. But I was under a lot of pressure. I thought about it all week. The 4 days I was here before the competition started, that's all I thought about, hitting hurdles and falling.
Now, you were beaten in the Los Angeles Olympics. Does this take away some of the disappointment?
Not really. You know, the games are the games. This is one of the biggest track meets I've ever competed in. I was happy with the first one in '83, and I'm very happy with this one because now I'm defending champion. I won the first 2 ever. And hopefully next year I can look forward to the games and hopefully win a gold medal next year.
Greg Foster, and what a marvellous moment for him. 2 world record championships. That's a marvellous title to go away with, isn't it?
2 world championships, yeah. It's a great, I mean, I wouldn't mind one.
Pretty handy,
yeah, to make my life a breeze in Australia.
Yeah, well, after the break, we're going to witness another performance by a man that successfully defended his title from Helsinki in 1983, and also see a young girl that took out a 2nd gold medal and will be a threat to defend that one in 1991.
For Charlie and Irene, it was love at first sight.
Hey, Charlie.
They were hired killers by day, devoted lovers by night.
I didn't get married so my wife could go on working.
But when you work for the Godfather, mixing pleasure with business can be murder.
I said, if I marry you, which one of these?
Jack Nicholson, Kathleen Turner,
Let's play doctor.
On the phone?
and Angelica Houston in the critically acclaimed Pritzi's Honor, premiering 8:30 Sunday on TVO.
Hello, sunshine, nature shining through the sugar cane, bringing the sweet life here again. Hello, sunshine.
Hello, sunshine.
Shine your warmth on everyone. Turn the great Australian sun into a smile. Hello, sunshine. someday, cool day, break free, you and me.
The highlight of Queensland Rugby 87, the Big Rooster Cup Grand Final, Sunday, September 13 at Ballymore.
I'm wrapped in excitement, I'm wrapped in a crowd, I'm wrapped in good times, wrapped in the sound, I'm wrapped in rugby at Ballymore.
Queensland Rugby 87, another bumper crop.
Welcome back to our coverage of the World Track and Field titles from Rome, and so far the sprints at Rome have provided the real excitement. Who will forget Ben Johnson's 100-metre world record performance earlier in the week, or East Germany's Silk Gladys golden triumph in the women's 100? Well, Gladys, in fact, was up for a double gold in the women's 200 metres overnight. We'll see how she fared in a moment, but firstly, to the semi-finals.
Away. Gladys seemed to get a good start. Marshall's normally slow early. Otti's already moved up on Ongonkoya. Bailey in lane 4 and Eganitz is running well, and Gorgaeva's run a very good first turn, but Gladys clearly in front into the straight. Marshall and Otti are both good finishers, and Gorgaeva usually dies. Gladys in front of Gorgaeva, and Otti's cruising up the Gladys. Otti looks good in this semi-final, moves up alongside Silky and goes through. Marshall will be third and Gorgaeva, 22.43. Powerful run by Otti. Gladys seemed to turn off the gas in the straight. She was happy. She ran the first 100 very well. So the big three got through, Raylene, and Gorgaeva got through with them because she ran the first bend so very well.
That's right. The top three look great here. Gladys has run a very hard turn and is just cruising towards the finish line here. Otti's run through on her, but obviously at this stage, Gladys is still the worry. She's the one that everybody's got to watch.
Another one to watch is in the second semi-final, Florence Griffiths of the United States.
The East German Morgenstern, and away quickly on Yarley. Torrance running pretty well too, and Casper's in lane 2 running very well. Even race into the straight. Griffith is just in front of Oniali. Torrance is trying to come through with Casper's, and Casey is well out of it at the moment. Griffith running very comfortably is going to qualify. Oniali's going to get through with Torrance and also Casper's, and the disappointment there was Casey here. And the time's a bit quicker, and they ran into 1.98.
So Florence Griffiths in 22.38. That's the quicker of the two semi-finals, and she looked very, very impressive in more ways than one, Raylene, going into that final.
She did look a danger at this stage, but I didn't have a lot of confidence in her. The Americans are full of show. We see her here. She was softer than Gladys off the mark, and quite often if someone gets a jump off you around the turn, you tie up trying to chase them up the home straight. Florence is looking all right, but I just did not think after watching her in this semi that she had the strength or the speed to beat Gladys.
Well, Florence Griffith looking sensational in the aerodynamic suit, which has caused a lot of comment in Rome throughout the meet in 1987, but she did shed it, Raylene, for the final.
That's right. The interest was on whether she was going to get rid of it for the final.
And fortunately, she did.
She should use that speed on the bend. Away, and Gladys got a very good start, and she'll run up to Otti quickly. So from the outside, Torrance, Gorgaeva, then Oniali. Griffiths running very well. Gladys is clearly in front with Otti. The inside 2 lanes out of it, and Gladys has blown them apart. She straightened up 4 metres in front of Otti and Griffith, and the time's going to be interesting because Gladys is going to bolt in. Griffith will get the silver, and then Otti. Gladys ties up a bit, but runs 21.73. This is a great champion.
And a new championship record for Silk Gladys, a rare double. You mentioned it some 15 years at a major meet that we've seen the 100 and the 200 go to the same person.
That's right, a very rare double, and particularly after seeing her in the 100, I wasn't sure how she'd cope with the distance over 200, but running 2/10 off the world record means that she copes with the distance very well.
Well, what about her prospects as far as Seoul in 1988? It's certainly a tremendous performance here in Rome.
You'd have to back her for at least 1 gold, wouldn't you? After watching her, she's young, she's following through in the steps of great Eastern Germany sprinters that have retired. She's got Dreschler to battle with in major competitions, and she's composed enough as a youngster to come out and win a double world title.
Well, Heike Dreschler didn't run in the 200 because of her commitments in the long jump with that clash with Jackie Joyner. What difference do you think that would have made to the 200 result here in Rome?
Well, Silk Gladys actually beat Dreschler in the East Germany Championships recently, so I think probably it wouldn't have made too much difference, especially when they're running that close to the world record.
And Merlin Otti, yet another minor medal.
Merlin Otti is one of the all-time sort of failures in some ways because she doesn't pull off the major gold medal, but she certainly slips through in there and picks up the minor medals, and is always a great performer and exciting to watch because you never know when she's going to come through and win the big one.
OK, so a superb performance by Silk Gladys to take out the sprint double in Rome in the World Championships for 1987. successful in the 100-metre sprint earlier in the week, bobbing up with second gold medal. That's a marvellous achievement.
It is a marvellous achievement. And watching her then, David, it really made me think, surely Australians watching this will see how much effort the East German athletes put into their events. They're out there to win, they're really determined, and they give it everything they've got. They don't pull up injured or talk about my preparation hasn't been right. They get in there and they do it.
Well, the rewards so far have been fantastic for them in Rome. In fact, yesterday, of the 5 gold medals decided, 3 of them went to the GDR. We'll take a break and be back with more of our recap of Day 5 from Rome in just a moment.
55 during the Australia Games, and Kalasa has improved even somewhat from those days. Paul Jeans and Maury Plant will be looking at the pole vault. The first of the 4x100 metre heats for women is 5 minutes away, and it's a very good lineup with the Bulgarians, Nigerians, West Germans, Canadians and East Germans involved. And there's the girl herself, Florence Griffith, who will go in the second heat for the United States, one of the glamour athletes of these championships. The pole vault is at a very interesting stage. Bubka still hasn't come in. It's getting to a very dizzy height already at 560, Paul. And Kalasa was just so impressive at 550, you have to back him in at this height.
Yes, that's right. We were talking about it, what he was going to do, whether he'd go for 560 or 570, and we thought he might pass 560, but he's opted to take 560. The young Soviet Javelin has cleared 560, and Nikolov, the Bulgarian, has cleared 560. Tarev has had 1 miss at this height. So we're now down to Kalasa taking his first jump at it.
And it's with great pleasure that we welcome Canberra to our coverage of the World Athletics Championships, the home of the Australian Institute of Sport. I'm sure we'll have a big audience in Canberra tonight. And here goes Kalasa, Paul, at 560, first attempt.
No, he seems to have aborted it. I think they're still trying to come to terms with a slight headwind they're having. And what happened before with the Italian, he spent so long on the runway with the wind springing up that his clock ran down, so he decided to pass his last attempt, which means he has a real pressure jump. The clock is running down on Kalasa now, so it'll be interesting what he's going to do.
So just an explanation of how long each competitor gets between jumps?
Yes, they have 2 minutes. Once the clock goes on, they must make that attempt, and if the clock does run down, then they get the red flag up. It's counted as a miss. It stops the competition from dragging out far too long.
And the finalists for the long jump have just come onto the track behind or in front of Kalasa, and Lewis is amongst them. The atmosphere is electrifying here, and here goes Kalasa.
Kalasa, first attempt at 5 meters 60. Look at the way he threw his head back. Very close. Maury, what did you think?
I thought he should have got it. He just seemed to lose a little bit of control over the bar and probably flicked it with his hand in the finish. Throws himself back dramatically. Look at that head rock back. Just flicked it with the chest. He might have spent more time adjusting the standards to the right position.
Do you think the time spent on the end of the runway affected him?
I think he was waiting for a bit of tailwind, which really didn't eventuate. And he had to go with only about 30 seconds left.
So 560, the first miss for Kalasa. He did seem to have a lot of height on that, so it should be within his capabilities.
There'll be some drama now, Maury and Paul, because Gianni Stecchi of Italy, the Italian idol in this event, who has a best of 560, is going to try and equal this. And he only gets 1 attempt because he did have 2 tries at 550 and miss. And then when the wind wasn't suiting him, he decided to pass and try his luck at 560. So Stecchi's just lining himself up for an attempt at an equal personal best.
That's right. You can see how much wind is going out. Now he's got the tailwind, as you see the flag there, but if he's measuring his pole up. There's the long jumpers now getting ready. And this should be a fascinating final there in the long jump with 17 qualifiers.
And the wind has been a bit tricky today. It's mainly been a head breeze or head wind, but it has switched around. So if Lewis can get it right and get a little tail breeze, then who knows what he might do.
Well, this is Gianni Stecchi of Italy. He's had some very good attempts. He cleared 530 at his first attempt, 540 at his second attempt. He had 2 misses at 550. He's got a full house cheering him on every time he does vault. So, of course, he's got a pressure vault now at 5 meters 60. He only gets that 1 go.
The 4x100 is almost about to start. It's the first heat for women, but hopefully Stecky will make his attempt before they go. He's well under a minute now. He can't afford to make a mistake here because this is his third and final attempt.
Oh, yeah. He can't wait too much time on this runway now. He's in a situation where he must do something now. He's going for his equal personal best. Gianni Stecky of Italy.
The breeze has turned for him, and Terry Vigneron from France is waving him on, suggesting that he make his attempt with the aid of the wind.
Yes, the pole vaulters have been really working together. One standing there watching the wind, and of course while the other one goes. Here he comes now. Stecky at his one and only attempt at 560. No, it's not his day. Stecky eliminated. His third consecutive failure. Acknowledging the crowd.
It was a little bit of a case of Sydney or the bush. He hadn't looked really impressive at 550, so he gambled that he could get back in this competition with a clearance at 60. But as you saw, he wasn't quite there.
So Stecky goes out of the competition, clearing 540, and still Bubka to come. And when he goes on the runway, there's going to be some excitement. This is the first semi-final in the 4x100 metres. Bulgaria goes from 1, Ghana 2, Nigeria 3. No Brazil in 4, West Germany in 5, Canada 6, and the GDR in 7. That might be Florence Griffith. Raylene Dreschler's not running the back straight. It's Gladish first, then Oshkanat the hurdler, then Beirut, the very, very promising young East German who we haven't seen so far, and then Marlies Kerr. So have a good look at the East Germans in lane 7. Isienko runs the third leg for the Canadians. That's what we've been given at this stage. And the Bulgarians are very solid. They've got two excellent hurdlers, Sagat-Shaver and Donkova going. So Gladish is away in lane 7, and the East German should really get a fly here, and she'll give the baton to Oshkanat in the back straight. So down the back straight they go, and it's the East Germans way out in front of the Canadians, the West Germans, the Nigerians. In lane 1 is the Bulgarians, and Ghana in lane 2. Now Oshkanat will hand the baton over to Beirut, and Beirut had to wait and wait and wait, and I guess she got it in time, but it was a shocking mix-up, and Isienko will take some ground off, and so will the West Germans. Now Marlies Kerr has done this before. It should be sweet. It was. Takes the baton just in front of the Canadians. The West Germans and the Bulgarians will have a great struggle to get third, but the East Germans will come home. In fact, the West Germans have done very well in that last leg. Canada second, West Germany third, and then Bulgaria 42.96. And there seem to be all sorts of problems, Raylene, there, from Oshkanat to Beirut, and they're really the two new girls in the team.
Yes, it seemed that they had a little bit of trouble with the changeover. Unusual for the East Germans. You rarely see them making mistakes, but they certainly fumbled at the change. Fortunately, Aynat held back and waited for Oshkanat to get to her, and they seemed to get the baton clear. We'll have to wait to see if there's a red flag goes up. But Kerr certainly ran a great home leg.
And Oshkanat, of course, filling in the back straight for Heike Dreschler. Here's the Canadian changeover in the back straight. That's Bailey to Phipps. And the East Germans are clear of them on the outside. And we'll watch this third changeover coming up if they hang on to it long enough. Oshkanat on the left of screen, Phipps in the centre, and then the West Germans. That's Tim about to hand the baton to Noel. Now Beirut's waiting. Oshkanat's feeling for it, and they did lose some valuable ground, but they had a very, very big lead. Now Kerr got the baton clear. Kerr's run so many anchor legs when the East Germans have won gold medals and broken world records. Who could forget their performance in Canberra in 1985? Canadians trying very hard. But back on the runway, and here's Lesov, the Bulgarian, very promising junior at 560, and he's up and over.
Yes, Lesov has been very, very impressive, especially in the qualifying rounds. This young man, there's 3 Bulgarians in the final, and he's vaulted superbly. That was 560.
Yes, Lesov, he tends to lose a little bit of control as he crosses the bar, but he comes off his pole with such power and such speed that he goes well clear. Only a young man, Lesov, featured in the World Junior Championships in Athens last year, and has really made the step into international senior athletics very, very quickly. Curls around the bar for a good clearance.
Yes, Lesov over at 5 metres 60, and as you mentioned, he was second in the World Junior Championships last year, and certainly he's going to be a strong force in this event. And there's the veteran American Earl Bell, who's the only American left. The most extraordinary position the other two Americans had, Joe Dial and Billy Olson. They didn't need to wait till 5 metres 55, the qualifying standard. 5 metres 40 would have got them through, but they waited and waited, came in at that height. Both of them no-heighted, which has left Earl Bell in the competition.
I thought it was the most remarkable thing they chose to do, Paul. I had the pleasure of driving to the stadium with 3 American vaulters yesterday in the bus, and they were all concerned about the wind conditions, it was swirling, etc. Knowing this, both Olsen and Dial chose to wait till 5:55 to enter the competition. An extraordinary move. Earl Bell, a much more seasoned competitor, came in early, steadied himself in the qualifying competition, and resultantly is here in the final.
That's right, Bell, who was a world record holder at one stage and of course competed in the 76 Olympics. Oh, he's an excellent technician. Look at that. 5:60, Earl Bell.
The class, the competence of the man showing out then. A very, very steady competitor in all conditions. Drives hard into the box, swings back, and projects himself over the bar.
Well, Murray, there's been a lot talked about Bubka and 6 metres and maybe getting past that 6:03. You've seen a lot of pole vault competitions. You've seen 2 world records in this stadium in the space of 20 minutes, Vigneron and Bubka. Have we got the right conditions today for a 6 metre plus vault from Sergei?
Well, just looking at that wind condition, it's starting to be definitely behind the vaulters. It was swirling a fraction earlier in the day, and with the wind coming consistently behind them, I think it's a big, big chance. I think we'll know a lot more once we see Bubka enter the competition. If he comes in at 5:70 and has the big clearances which we expect of him, I think a vault of somewhere in the region of 6:05 to 6:10 is definitely on the cards.
This is Atanas Tarav, the Bulgarian, who has cleared 5:40, has missed his first attempt at 5:60.
And the second heat in the 4x100 metres, final tomorrow. Very impressive in the first heat, the East Germans, except for that one baton change from 2 to 3. The French go from lane 1. There's the Italian team. That's Balzani. They're in lane 2. India in 3. In lane 4, Great Britain. They had a disaster in the 4x1 for men, as you saw earlier tonight. The USA in lane 5. And the team we've been given is Alice Brown to Diane Williams to Florence Griffith to Pam Marshall. So we'll check on those. The Soviet Union in 6 and Cuba in lane 7. It is Alice Brown first up for the Americans. Marshall is going to run the anchor. Just looking for Griffith in the back straight. Florence is in the back straight, so well, on the turn at the 200. So it will be Brown to Williams to Griffith and Marshall. 42.96. I think that was the time for the East Germans in the first. Yes, that was unofficial, so we'll have a good look at the Americans here. And away. So from the outside, it's Cuba, Soviet Union, Alice Brown for the United States, then Great Britain, India, Italy and France. Watch the first changeover. It's Brown to Williams, and the changeover was fairly good. So in the back, it's Cuba on the outside, with the Soviet Union have run a very good first leg. Then the United States, Great Britain well back with India. Now Florence Griffith's about to take the baton, and she took it very well. So the Soviet Union lead, but the United States is about to round them up, I feel. And Griffith will hand the baton to Marshall, and Antonova will run the final leg for the Soviet Union. Marshall is very strong, and from a moving start, she has the advantage, and she's away now from the Soviet Union. And it's a battle between Cuba and France for third. And watch for the time. The East Germans went 42.96, and the Americans have had a big victory there because they went a full second quicker. 41.96, the Soviet Union, and then very close between France and Cuba. So Raylene, a second's a long time. I guess the East Germans have got something up their sleeve on that second to third changeover. But with Marshall so very strong at the end with a moving start and the clean method of the baton changing there, the Americans are in with a real chance.
with the experience they've got, I'm sure they'll beat them. We see Marshall there running home, a clear winner. Be interesting to see what she does if there is a real tussle with Gurr running up the home straight, whether she chokes or whether she goes through with it. But I think the East Germans will review that second change, and I'm sure when we see them in the final will be much improved. There we see Marshall running up the home straight, looking, or is that the back straight, Bruce?
That is the home straight, Raylene. That's Marshall.
Yeah, she's looking quite comfortable. She's pushing herself along, and the Russian was running along quite comfortably behind her. They were clear winners, no real pressure there. Quite often they mess it up under pressure.
Now here's the Soviet Union change, first to second, and they had a pretty good start, Raylene.
That's right, they were nice and clean. They're all rather short sprinters, and they really took the baton around the track quite quickly. See
That's Williams to Griffith. It looked a fairly good change for the Americans.
Yeah, they both look nice, clean changes, both the Soviet Union one and the American one, without any doubt at all.
I was going to say, Raylene, the British were disappointing. They were well and truly out of it, so they don't have anyone left in the 4x1.
No, seems that the British have just about, or are just about at the end of their good sprinting years for a little while.
Well, Regis was so very good in the men's, of course, in the 200, and Christie did finish fourth, but they don't have a crack female sprint at the moment. Well, back to the pole vault. Tarev at 5.60 on the runway, the Bulgarian.
This is Tarev, second attempt. Powerful Bulgarian vaulter. Look at that vault. Great clearance, Murray.
The man is regarded as one of the great competitors. He's a ferocious-looking gentleman, which really belies his very quiet nature, but he's a real terrier on the runway. Big barrel chest. He forces the pole hard into the box, swings back hard, and then just launches himself over.
So the bar has now been raised to 5.70, and Tarev is over 5.60 at his second attempt. And I'm sure at 5.70, Bubka will come into the competition. Gorzelin's going to go at 5.70, the number 2 Russian. And so let's qualify in the European Championships last year is quite disappointing. Second in the World Student Games this year, has a best of 5.90.
That's right, Rodion Gotolin, the Soviet Union. Oh, he's had problems, and he's gone underneath. That's a no jump. So he'll get the red flag on that one. He seemed to mess his run up completely. So Gotolin has his first miss at 5.70 meters.
And the result from the first semi-final of the 4x1, German Democratic Republic 42.96, Canada second, the Federal Republic of Germany, that's West Germany third, and Bulgaria fourth. Those four will definitely get through, and Nigeria also has a chance of going through to tomorrow's final. So a miss for Gorzelin there on the runway at 5.70. He's a 5.90 jumper, Maury, but he has been a bit disappointing in the major competitions.
He was a winner of the 1986 Welt class meet in Zurich, where he just looked sensational. He then went to Stuttgart as one of the favourites for the European Championships, and bombed out completely in the qualifying round. He almost looked like he was going to do it yesterday, but he got through, struggled through to the final. Had an excellent clearance at 5.50, but he didn't look terribly confident on the runway then.
Murray, the bar's at 5.70 at the moment. We see that the athletes come up and measure their pole up against the bar. How long can each athlete's pole be? Can there be any restriction upon it?
Once the standards are set, and he has given the okay that the standards are set to his desire, he then has 2 minutes to attempt his jump.
No, I meant the length of their pole, Murray. Bubka, we've been told, uses a longer one than anyone else. Is there any limit to how long a pole can be, and how long is it in fact?
Bubka uses a pole around about 5.20 meters long. That's probably the longest pole in the competition, though Kalasa uses a very long one. The thing about Bubka's pole is that it's terribly, terribly stiff. And anyone else in the competition who tried to use it would find themselves rejected and land about 10 foot down the runway. They'd get nowhere near the pit.
And what are they made of, Murray?
Fiberglass. Though the pole that Kalasa uses, you'll notice it's a big, long black pole when you see him jump. It's made out of graphite as well as fiberglass, so it's a graphite fiberglass compound.
Now we've noticed Nikolov getting his hands ready for this attempt and trying to get a grip on the pole. What do they rub over the hands before they come in for a clearance?
They'll use anything that they find sticky and tacky. Some people will even use a a mixture of gasket sealers with petrol and anything that becomes sticky and tacky.
Okay, let's take a break from the pole vault for just a moment. Earlier this morning, the women were attempting to qualify in the javelin. Two great competitors here, Fatima Whitbread and the current world record holder, Petra Felker. Paul Jeans looked at the action.
There's the world record holder, Petra Felker, East Germany. Just very recently broke Fatima Whitbread's world record, throwing 78.90. Heavily strapped right arm. She's hit that well, and it should go out over the 64-metre mark, and does so. Beautiful throw. No difficulties in qualifying. She had to play second to Fatima Whitbread in last year's European Championships, where Fatima broke the world record. Felker has bounced back. Look at that. Beautifully pulled back the javelin, crossover steps, angles kept well. The power comes through here. Good flight of the javelin, follow through, no danger of fouling there. 69.16. This is Tessa Sanderson, the Olympic champion. Just over the qualifying standard. What a great competitor she has been. The Commonwealth Games champion from Edinburgh, the Olympic champion from 1984. First throw, waves to the English crowd. Large English contingent here in Rome to support their athletes. Powerful arm development for Tessa. A lot of power behind it. She's quite a veteran of the British team.
43.53 and France 43.59. There's a whole horde of photographers around the long jump pit. It's going to start very shortly, and of course the crowd behind can't see, and they're whistling and booing. That's the view that the photographers have. There must be 20 or 30 of them cluttered around, and the crowd don't like it, and I don't blame them. They're paid to come in to see Carl Lewis and the other great long jumpers, and I think they may eventually get their way. We'll take a break because that long jump competition's about 8 minutes away, and Bubka's about the same time away to go in the pole vault. 8th in the last World Championships, has already cleared 550, is going for 570, first attempt.
That's right, this is Vigneron. In the meantime, Nikolov of Bulgaria has cleared this height, as has Kolasa of Poland. Vigneron's first attempt. The ex-world record holder, 3 times world record holder, and that's why you can see the experience of this man. 5 meters 70.
Vigneron, a master technician. He really does everything right. Turns beautifully, and there's a lot of clearance, there's a lot of light between him and the bar. He has jumped the world record on this very, very track a couple of years ago, and he might give 6:03 a real scare today.
This would be quite interesting if we can get 2 vaulters over 6 meters. It'd be some sensation, wouldn't it?
Well, unfortunately, Terry Vigneron suffered the bad luck of breaking the record, the world record here a couple of years ago, and he held the record for approximately 14 minutes before Sergei Bubka retook it.
Men's 4x100 metres is not far away, and Ben Johnson is going to run the first leg for Canada. We're going to have a fascinating situation tomorrow where Johnson will lead off for Canada and Lewis will come home for the United States. And as you saw earlier in this morning's heats, the Americans wore the big suits. Lewis, by the way, has just been introduced to the crowd. Don't notice that Ben's clapping at the moment, but Ben no doubt knows Carl's in the back straight. And it's could be a bit of a catastrophe here for the pole vaulters at the moment, with the long jump going on, Maury, and all the photographers around that long jump pit, and in fact they're almost encroaching upon the pole vault where they land in the pole vault for the pit there.
They're right next to the bags. There's many of them. There are a lot of officials there as well. They don't seem to be able to get them back. I think it's going to take someone to have a big miss at one of these high heights and have the crossbar go flying into them to actually get them back.
I think the way those photographers are, they're going to do anything at all to get a shot of Carl Lewis. But this is Obizhayev of the Soviet Union, who was making his first attempt at 5 meters 70. He's cleared 5 meters 50. At this stage, the only two competitors over 570 are Nikolov of Bulgaria and Vigneron of France, who just did it a moment ago. Now, Obijayev is a very, very solid competitor, current national champion at 580. So he certainly is a very, very powerful bowler. Bubka did not compete in the national championships.
Not a lot is known about this man internationally. I was speaking with Earl Bell, the veteran American pole vaulter, and he says in all his years he's never competed against him.
That's right, he's probably better known internally. The roar you can hear in the background is that the spectators are not too happy about these pile of photographers around there, and especially, of course, Italy is running in the next relay event, which should be on shortly. Here's Obijayev at 5 meters 70. Oh, he was over that, Murray, then he came down.
Yes, he didn't really get enough projection off the pole. He's carrying a very, very long pole, but not gripping particularly high on it. There's a lot of space for him to go up the pole. Swings with both feet to make his height, but doesn't really have the projection over the pole, from the pole to get over the bow.
He's got this incredible leg technique.
Both feet together, swinging up, very reminiscent of a gymnast doing the giant swings.
That's right, that's Obijayev. I think some of the photographers are slowly being marched off. I don't know what they're doing down there.
And there's a field for the long jump final. Evangelisti, the Italian champion, who was third in the Los Angeles Olympics. Myrix is 1:06.7, one of the all-time greats. There are three from the Soviet Union. Carl Lewis is 1:05.3. The qualifying yesterday was quite an extraordinary standard, and with the wind coming behind them, who knows what might happen. Ron Clark's been having a good look at Lewis in his warm-up, and he's made a few changes to his gear, Ron.
It's incredible. I've never seen a warm-up like it. He really hasn't measured his run yet, but when he came out, he took off his tracksuit, put on a fresh pair of shoes, did a couple of 20-metre jogs up and down in them, took them off, put another pair on, did the same with those, took them off, went back to an old pair, which looked like flats to me, but he hasn't bothered to do up the laces yet on those. He's been running and jogging around and jumping in them without laces done up. The laces have been going and streaming back everywhere. If it was me, I would have tripped over him on the neck by now, the way he's doing. He's just jogging in again with laces flapping all over the place.
And the wind, which has swirled around all day at the moment, could favour him if he took a jump. But it's difficult to tell because it has been very swirly. But the rest of the field, Morty, Bobolev, of course, from the Soviet Union. Jefferson is outstanding from Cuba. Yusuf Ali is 7.14. Mike Conley, who won the silver in the triple jump, 1:02.3. And Paul Emian, who in fact goes into the competition as having the longest jump recorded at 8.86 metres, and he and Lewis have never met one another in competition.
That's right. This is something that's going to be very, very exciting to look forward. However, Conley beat Emian at the World Cup in camera, so Emian is vulnerable. 17 finalists. This is an extraordinary qualifying round, with some missing by a couple of centimetres.
Go on.
Sorry, Brieg brings up the, he'll be the last jumper. They've given most of those photographers their marching order, so very few left now, fortunately, so it will not hamper the competitors.
That was the view that we had a short time ago when we were talking about Carl Lewis. The photographers cluttered around the long jump. Now, Tarev is about to go at 5:70. Yes. Very, very consistent competitor.
Yes, Tarev trying at 5:70. This will be his first attempt at this height.
Enormous amount of tacky substance, black tacky substance on his top hand, which is the one which will release last from the pole.
As Murray mentioned, you don't shake hands with one of these pole vaulters after the event. Here he comes, Tarev, third in the World Championships in the 1983, and
no, he stalled out. He didn't maintain his speed through the box and up into the air.
Ben Johnson, the fastest man in the world, and that's now official. Broke the world record in the 100 metres on the second night of competition. He electrified this stadium. And tonight he's running in the 4x100 metre relay for Canada. He is the first man off. It's Senegal in lane 1, the Italians are in 2, and Pavoni will anchor, but they could struggle. The Canadians go Johnson to Mayhorn to Williams, who ran a superb bend this morning, and then Dwyer. They've had problems on that final leg. Tony Sharp's been struggling. Now we'll watch for Johnson. He should eat up the Spaniard. Away, and Ben got a good start. So Garner lead from Spain, and look at Johnson go in lane 6. Have a look at him take it off the Spaniard. He might catch the man from Garner. Almost did. What a first leg. Gives it to Mayhorn, and the Canadians are away. The Soviet Union are going well, and the Italians have got a bit of work to do, though. Tilley's running a good leg. Now Mayhorn goes to Williams, and the Canadians are in good form, and so's the Soviet Union, and the Italians are still well back. The West Germans are up there. Now Dwyer's about to get it for the Canadians. The crossover comes. The Russians made a rare error. Pavoni's going to get through, I think. Yes, he will. The Russians go through with the Canadians and the West Germans, and Pavoni goes through, and the crowd love it. It's as if they won the gold medal. They've finished 4th in a semi-final, and they've gone berserk. Well, they're going to be at the back of the field in the final, but Pavoni can at least say one thing. He's been in the final of the 100, the final of the 200, now he's run his way into the final of the 4x1. But 38.29, the Soviet Union wore down the Canadians, Raylene, after Johnson gave the Canadians the best possible start.
Yeah, Dwyer from Canada here isn't really putting a lot of effort in, but certainly the Russians have run away to a strong win. Was that Krylov running the last leg there, Bruce?
They've got Fedorov down, but I'll just try and check, Raylene.
Fedorov, no, it's not Krylov's style, I don't think. Yeah. It was a good run. As you said, Ben Johnson got the Canadians off to a brilliant start. He's the best of their 4 runners, and it's interesting that they're running him first, and as you said, Lewis will be running last for the United States team. There we have the first handover. That was a nice clean changeover, as you said. Bennett almost caught the 2 teams outside of him. Canada's running away with it at this stage. The Soviet Union are chasing hard in lane 4.
Here's Kalasa on the runway, Raylene, at 5.70.
No, it's not his day at the moment. Kalasa has a miss there.
So the Americans are coming up next. I'm sure the Canadians are running Johnson because of his superb starting abilities. And here's Kalasa at 5.70, missing out. Let's take a break and we'll be back with this second set. Today has a personal best of 8.18. Evangelisti's just missed out, Paul, because he had a no jump, much to the disappointment of the Italian crowd. Long jump final just started.
Yes, Hirschberg, of course, is not as well known internationally as some of the great East German long jumpers in the past, people like Dombrowski, but Hirschberg jumps superbly in the qualifying round. Big man, poundings down the runway, stretches out nicely. Wait for the flag on that, white flag. So the competition finally has someone with a jump in, 23 years of age, as you can see there. Evangelisti fouled his first jump. He's the first man on the runway. Look at the smooth run. Beautiful hang method, good extension, slides into the pit. Lovely jump from her. He might be quite a surprise to get into that top 8, Hirschberg. Jumping 8.10 in the qualifying round certainly is a good jump. Oh, there is no margin for error. They gave him the white flag on that one. 8.16, what a good opener.
So from the long jump, we go to the second semi-final of the men's 4x1. The People's Republic of China in lane 7 and Chinese Taipei 2. De Silva's running the second leg there. They're cracked 200-meter run. And then Hungary 3, Jamaica 4, Cuba 5, US 6, People's Republic of China, and then Taipei. All eyes on McRae in lane 6. He is a very good starter. Away. He stood there for a while. So Taipei, People's Republic of China, and they've got a very good start. In fact, they've got away from McRae as they go into the first. McRae hasn't run a particularly good leg, and the Jamaicans are going all right with Cuba. And down in lanes 2, Brazil, and also in lane 1, Portugal. Now the Americans wind up. McNeil's run a very good leg, and he's about to go to Harvey Glantz, the veteran. Glantz takes the baton now, and they're away. So Glantz is right away with the Jamaicans and also the Hungarians and the Cubans. Stewart's going to come home for the Jamaicans. Mitchell's about to take the baton. Stewart, I don't think, could run him down with Kovacs. No, he couldn't. Mitchell's clear. Stewart's running a beautiful leg. Behind those will be Hungary, and then it's going to be very tight, and I fancy the People's Republic of China. And it's 38.34. 38.34, so the Soviet Union is the fastest qualifier. But Lewis, of course, must run the anchor in the final. He's broken 16 world records in 3 years. Sergei Bubka defending his world championship at 5.70, Murray. This is his first attempt.
He just hoisted that huge pole of his and comes down the runway. Oh, there's an easy clearance. First jump of the competition, he's well.
4 men at this stage over 5.70 in the pole vault. Carl Lewis is 2 men away from taking his first jump in the long jump. And Ron Myrick's had a tailwind, but couldn't take advantage of it. But it's been really swirling around in the back straight, that breeze.
It's been half with them and half across them, more than that's with the pole vaulters and across the long jumpers and getting behind them. So we had in successive jumps a supporting following wind of 175, then an against wind of 0.79, and an against wind of 0.36, and then a plus wind of 53. So that's the way it's going over there.
Okay, so it's now back to Raylene and David for a short moment. About 2 or 3 minutes, David, before Carl Lewis takes his first attempt in the long jump.
And we're certainly looking forward to that with great interest.
Action. He had a personal best yesterday, Paul, to qualify of 8:06, and he's chasing an 8:16 because Hirschberger set the standard so far. That's a leading jump.
Yes, that's right. Kana competed in the last World Championships when he was much lesser known jumper. And he, as Bruce mentioned, he did a personal best in the qualifying round, which was a superb effort. Amjanov of Bulgaria has jumped 8:11. And Laevsky of the Soviet Union, 7:89. They're the first 3. We're still in the first round, and Lewis will follow Kana. Hang method jumper, slide over rotation. Red flag, it's a no jump. So it's not a good start for Kana, but the big man is next to follow him down. Not much of a knee lift there on Kana. You can see he's well over the board on that jump. Hangs, coming down rather early, over rotates. There it is. Very, very clear foul. No worries about that one. So Kana, of course, will have 2 more jumps. And, of course, the top 8 positions will become very, very interesting. Myrick's of the United States has had to defend this particular title. He jumped magnificently in the qualifying round, where he virtually exploded to 8:36 and let the rest of the competition know that he is here. It's going to be very interesting what he does. He's that enormous crowd of photographers that came out to take a good look at him. They've cut them down to a very select few now. Carl Lewis. His very first jump in the final. Very important to get that big jumper out first. Superb competition in the Pan American Games just recently. And Lewis certainly puts himself on the line when the big competition's there. Crowd clapping, urging the man. Signs up there. Great support for Lewis. Here he comes. It's a big jump. There's that world standard marker. White flag. 26 years of age with a personal best of 8:79.
And the wind behind him was 0.35. That's why Lewis was waiting and waiting. And isn't he poetry in motion on the runway?
It looks magnificent. It's amazing. The height, the stretch. He gets his feet out. And I think there's further room there. He can extend a little further on the end of that jump. He's going to put in a marker here, which will make everybody chase him. Wait for that scoreboard to show up. Right on the board. That's where you have to be.
8:67, Paul.
8:67.
That smashed his championship record. That really has set the standard. I'll go for the all-time list, but there are not very many men that have made that at 8:67.
That's right. You'll probably find his name mentioned a few times. Well, that'll put the wind up Robert Emian.
Championship record for Lewis, just like he did in the 100 when he walked out for his first heat. Here's Gortelin Murray in the pole vault. Gortelin at 5:70, making his attempt.
Yes, this young man from Siberia had it all in front of him last year. Let's see how he goes here. Back early. Oh, good clearance. Good clearance. There's a lot more in this young man today. He seems to have his confidence with him, and he could give 6 metres a real nudge.
Gortelin over at 5:70. Here's Bobby-Lev on the runway.
That's Bobby-Lev who pulled one out on his last jump. Very good one again. 2 Russians competing.
67, but here is the man who could be his biggest opponent. Robert Emian with a personal best of 8:86, the current European champion.
That's right, Emian. Very fast on the runway. Look at the speed he generates on there. The big danger to Carl Lewis. Oh, that's a big jump. That's a big one. So Emian's right into the competition. which is currently led by Carl Lewis at 8.67. Hirschberg of East Germany, 8.16. Amitjinov of Bulgaria, 8.11. Bobiev, Soviet Union, 7.90. Look at the speed he's generating. Look at the way he's working those arms. Very good on the board. Hangs beautifully. He can extend further. Man who was second in the World Cup in Canberra, the European champion. Right on the board there. 8 metres 30, second place.
So Emian in second place behind Carl Lewis, the two favourites doing very well on their first jumps. Second heat of the 4x4, the Italians are going from lane 4 and the GDR from lane 5. And the strength here will be with the GDR and the Jamaicans. But the Soviet Union looked very impressive in that first heat. The GDR, that's Emmelman, Kirsten Emmelman, who was a medalist in the flat 400, or rather a finalist. There's the Irish girl, Carol, as the shot put finals underway. And there's Livashkaya, who is the world record holder and the favourite. And that looks at around about 21 metres. She didn't look all that happy, but I think the white flag went up all right.
That's her first throw, Bruce, as the competition's led by Nemkiv, GDR 2032, Akramenko, Soviet Union 2020, and Claudia Losh, the Olympic champion, on 2005. It's a big throw, however. 2089 I've seen on the board. That hits the front. Lisovskaya, Evangelisti of Italy. It's all happening. The man who came third failed his first jump. Third in the Olympics, third in the European Championships, who jumps magnificently this year with 8.43.
Paul Livashkaya was 20.89, so she's taken the lead in the shot put as we wait for this distance for Evangelisti. He has the white flag.
Oh, magnificent jump. Look at him stretch out. Has this man really improved? It's a big jump. 8+. Onto the board beautifully. Was the crowd waiting with great patience. Everything goes very, very quiet after the roar. Big cheer, but we can't see the board. It's at an angle. 8.09, and that will not get him a place at the moment.
World record 3:15.92 for this event held by the East Germans. From the outside, Lewis leading the competition at 8.67, Emian in second placing at 8.30.
Yes, Laevsky getting ready for his second attempt. 7.89 on his first jump. He is lying in 8th place. Lewis 8.67, Emian 8.30, Hirschberg 8.16, Amginov 8.11, Evangelisti 8.09, Myrix 8.04, Bobiev 7.90, and of course Laevsky. Comes Laevsky. Stretches out. That's probably better than his first jump. Laevsky, who has jumped very well in major competition, coming second in the European Championships last year, stretches out nicely. And all the Russians using very similar techniques. Hang method, which relies on enormous speed on the runway. However, of course, they don't match the speed both Myrix of the United States has and Lewis. Of course, they're incredible strength. Laevsky shakes his head. He doesn't seem to be too happy with it. 7.95, that's an improvement. All it does is plus in the long jump. Now, Amginov, who held second place for a while there, had jumped 8.11 on his first jump. Not too much is known about him outside of Bulgaria. It was a personal best he jumped, actually, in that first jump, so he's going to be in shape. Throws in a lot of short steps, stretches out very, very well. I don't think that's going to be as far, but it's difficult to tell from our angle. Qualified with 8.05. Here he is. Look at those, his run-ups a little bit off there. Sure, you can see those stuttering steps far too early. Stretches out nicely, however. The best of 8.07 going into this.
Didn't take much momentum with him, and all he found himself doing was hanging on the pole, which brought a roar of derision from a large Italian crowd.
Have a look at that.
And that's really not the way you're going to ever jump 5.75, which he was attempting. At the moment, he needs this to clear this height to stay in the competition. He has a second up period.
This is young Kristek, who, of course, made it by a centimetre in the qualifying round yesterday. and this is his second attempt. He jumped 7.67 on his first jump, and of course he'll be looking to get back into the competition like he did yesterday, but he only has those 3 jumps. He could nail down those top 8 spots who get an extra 3. 7.90 is the asking price there. So young Ivo Kresek, Czechoslovakia, personal best of 8.03. Jumped 7.96 in the qualifying round yesterday to qualify by 1 centimetre. Much shorter than a lot of the other jumpers. No, he's totally lost that one.
Let's leave that there because Lewis is about 2.5 minutes away and we'll be back. Bubka's only had 1 attempt and he sailed over at 5.70, so we have 1, 2, 3. We have 6 people still in the competition at 5.70, and Nikolov's having his second attempt at 5.75. So from the pole vault to the long jump, and the man who has set the standard, the great Carl Lewis, 8.67, and everybody's waiting in expectation. The wind's just against him at the moment, Paul, so I think he'll hang on for as long as possible.
Yes, you'll let the clock run down, I think, for a few minutes, although he doesn't have much time, 1 minute 30. At 8.67, of course, Carl, I don't think is going to be worried too much about whether winning this competition. I think he would love to get that world record at sea level. He refuses to go to altitude to try and get it, and I think he's risen in stature during this competition over the last few days. A great effort in the 100 metres. And convincing himself. He certainly is a great athlete. 8.67 on the first jump. Next best jump is 8 metres 30 by Robert Emian, who was the big threat to him.
And if this is a legal jump, it'll be 1 more than he had in the whole of the Los Angeles competition when he won the gold medal.
That's right. He was criticised for that, but I don't know. He's a great athlete. Oh, there's another big one. He certainly has come out firing. I don't think he took his defeat beautifully in the 100 metres, but he didn't like it. He copped it on the chin and he's come bouncing back here. Look at that. Beautiful takeoff on the board. Drives out. Look at those extension, and that's going to be another big jump. We're waiting for the board to show up, which comes up slightly before the TV screen. What a great athlete, right on the board once again. It's almost identical. The crowd's applauding. 8.65. What consistency.
Magnificent performance by Lewis. 8.67 and 8.65. He is really setting the standard. And in the pole vault, we have a champion who might be just as good in his field, and that's Sergei Bubka. In fact, Maury, there are some people that think that Bubka's the most outstanding man of the lot. But here's Tarev at 5.75. Do you like his chances?
Well, he needs this one. He had 1 miss at 5.70. Then this is now his second attempt at 5.75. So unless he gets this, he is out of the competition. And this would be a bit of a shock because he is regarded not as a winner, but as a very, very dangerous competitor who always places. And to see him out of the competition at this early stage, even though it's a big height, would be a real shock. He's such a dogged competitor, though. He's never out. Just setting himself, just setting the standards in the right situation, takes a deep breath.
I think just for a moment we should reflect on Lewis. Only 2 men have bettered what he's done so far, and that's Emian and Beeman. And they've done it once. Beeman 8.90 and Emian 8.86. And Lewis with 8.67 and 8.65. Only he, with Emian and Beeman, has had greater performances than that, and he's done it twice within the space of half an hour. He really is a superb athlete.
That's right. You must remember that Beeman did it at altitude in Mexico City in 1968. And Emian did it in a place called Sak-Kadzor in Russia.
I think that's altitude too.
Probably altitude, where he jumped that sensational 8 metres 86. But Carl Lewis has jumped his in very well-known places.
Tarev on the runway. Needs this, Murray, to stay in the competition.
His teammate, Nikolai Nikolov, giving him the wind reading, waving his hand, suggesting he try. The clock is running down, 1 minute 05 left. Tarev's on his way. Big bend, works at it, but no, not today, Atanas Tarev. And that's a disappointment for the powerful Bulgarian, but he is out of the competition.
There are plenty more still left in, including Nikolov, Vigneron, Bubka, Bell, Gortelin, Kalasa and Lesov. Now Lesov's gone as well, so the big gun still there. But Tariff, as Murray has said, has been a consistent place getter over the years. Third in Helsinki, was fourth in the European Championships last year. And maybe some of those that are looking for the minor medals would breathe a sigh of relief. We go from the pole vault to the long jump, and here's Amorti on the runway.
This is Paul Amorti, whose opening jump was a foul. At least he's got a jump in that time. White flag up. This
final.
Yes, Usui jumped 7 metres 77, has been almost a veteran of Japanese athletics. He's been the national champion many times over. Here he comes down on his second attempt. He's quite a good sprinter, Usui, having run for the Japanese national team. He's stretched out on that one. I don't think it's going to get him his 8 metres that he was looking for. He jumped very, very well in the qualifying rounds, Usui. Jumping 8.02 there, qualified with great comfort. His personal best is 8 metres 10. Stretches out nicely. It'll be interesting how far he gets on this one. We're viewing it from an angle. He's also actually running the 4x400 metres relay for Japan as well, although today they're not using him. Obviously it clashes with the long jump. Look at that. 8 metres. Very deceptive, so it's very hard for us to see. Excellent jump by him.
And here's a big girl from the People's Republic of China, Wang.
Wang, who thrown 18.93 on her first jump. Sorry, her first throw. Can't jump that way. A little bit below the standard. Niemke on 21.21 leads the competition from Lisovskaya of the Soviet Union, 20.89. Ines Muller of GDR, 20.76. Claudia Losh, the Olympic champion, has been shunted to fourth at 20.73. There's actually 2 Chinese girls in this final. Her teammate Li is lying 6th with 20 metres. It was a great effort from the Chinese girls. Here we have from West Germany, Heiko Reschke. And that's a solid jump from Reschke. He started with 7 metres 87 on his first jump. 24 years of age. Reschke has a best of 8.06, which he nearly equalled in the qualifying round, and that looked like a very, very good opener. Usui's 8 metre jump before put him in 7th place. So the cut-off point is now becoming very, very far away for a lot of jumpers. I think Reschke will give the 8 metres a bit of a nudge there. Very tall West German. Ooh, I wonder what the judges will do with that one. I think he almost turned his toe. Now, he fouled his first jump, so it's imperative that he gets one in. The standard is very high. And he is a competitor. That's over 8 metres. Man who came second in the triple jump gives the crowd a wave. 24-year-old American. The only one in this field who is doubling, which is very difficult to do at this level of competition. Qualified with 7.99, so of course he'll be on top here. 8.43 is his best. Stretches out nicely. Look at that great height, slight over rotation. Man who won in Canberra. 8 metres 10, which moves him into 5th place.
Away. And Boffy comes out hard with Lambrosini, and so does Panier from France and Coach from Kenya. Panetta loves to lead, and 2 other Kenyans are at the back. Kip Kemboy at 2 from the back, and at the back is Sang. So Coach has taken over and leads, with Boffy moving up, Lambrosini, Panetta, and also Panier from France. Melzer, Van Dijk's in that leading group. Hackney's in the middle, Ilg in front of him with Fell, and also Kip Kemboy. Just behind them, Regalo from Portugal. Dima well at
his knee, yeah, as it came over. But he just was too casual. He was really looking around just before that. And as I mentioned earlier, I was going to comment just how easily he was going.
Well, Panetta. Now, Evangelisti's in 3rd place with a great jump of 8 metres 19. Larry Myricks on his 3rd jump. powers down that runway. Oh, that's a good jump. He's stretched right out. 8th place is now 8:08. Lewis on 8:67 leads. From Emian, 8:30. Evangelisti, 8:19. Hirschberg, 8:16. Amjanov, 8:11. Conley on 8:10. Laevsky, 8:08. There are another 3 jumpers over 8 metres as well. Great extension by Morix, using that enormous speed he has, bearing in mind he ran the individual 200 in Helsinki in the last World Championships. Man who has been in 2 Olympics, would have been 3rd except for the boycott in 1980. Anxiously awaiting that jump. It looked very, very big. Great competitor, this man. He actually broke, he got a stress fracture in the qualifying round, the 76 Olympic qualifying round. He couldn't participate in the final. He's still looking back to see what it is. 8:23. That puts him into 3rd place now. He tips Evangelisti out, who moves into 4th with 8:19. And there is Panetta. What a happy man he is.
Well, they're still celebrating. The women's 1,500 metres final's not far away. They're warming up in the back straight. But the thing with Panetta, he just looks so fresh now. Let's go back to the long jump. Carl Lewis is on the runway. He has been in an extraordinary form with 8:67 and 8:65. And right now he's got a wind at his back. So if he takes advantage of this, who knows? Look out, Bob Beamon, 8:90. That would really ignite the stadium.
That's right. This whole stadium is absolutely abuzz. It's just a fantastic feeling. At one stage there was an Italian high jumper clearing a height in the qualifying round. Evangelisti on the runway. Panetta winning the steeplechase. And the crowd is very, very warmed up. And here's Lewis, and there's still a buzz at the moment. The extra motivation here, the extra additional spur. Can he do it? It's another big jump. White flag.
Into a headwind, Paul, of 0.17.
0.17 headwind. Yet it's a big jump right on the board again. What great consistency he has. Look at the extension that time. And that's going to be, again, a very, there's a huge roar went up in the crowd, especially that section that's right near the long jump. We get a far better view there from a side on exactly how far he's getting out. Americans are jumping extremely well. Conley having jumped 8.10 in 7th place.
8:67 again, Paul.
8:67.
So Lewis in spectacular form. The 1,500 metres final coming up shortly, and Bubka still going in the pole vault. Is Bordelin, the second of the Russians, on the runway at 5:80.
The young man comes in. He missed his first attempt. Big bend. Oh, and he's over. Well, that's a very good clearance. 5:80 takes him into the lead. Bubka has elected to pass at 5:80 after a successful clearance at 5:70. Gautelin, embarrassed at the end of last season after his disappointing display in Stuttgart at the European Championships, is certainly hitting back hard today. And this is a very, very good clearance at 5:80, or in the old language, 19 feet.
So he's not far away from that personal best of 5:90. Gautelin in excellent form. When's Bubka coming back into the competition, Murray?
I think we'll see Sergei Bubka attempting 5:90.
World record is 6:03. Gautelin going over 19 feet here. Lewis doing all sorts of extraordinary things in the long jump, and of course Panetta winning that 3,000 metres in 8:08. It was a personal corner. Samolenko's taken the lead. She's done the deck on the runway. Live action at 5:85 in the pole vault.
His chest. By geez, that was a close attempt. Gautelin jumped 5.80 on his second attempt, and that his first attempt at 85 suggests that he will get this height in the future. 3 people have jumped the bar at 5:80. They are Gautelin, Vigneron of France, and the towering Polishman, Marian Kolossa. The world record holder, Sergei Bubka, passed this height.
Maury, a couple of questions whilst we've been away from the pole vault. Is there any restriction to the length of the pole? Can you have it as long as you like? And what happens with the pole when it goes right there?
Well, you can have the pole as long as you like, as long as you can carry the thing and plant it adequately with the necessary speed to jump the bar. Sergi Bubka carries a longer pole than most other competitors, but he is very, very strong and extremely fast. And when it disappears, it goes into a piece of apparatus called the box, which is a hole virtually in the ground, aluminium plated hole, and from there they are able to thrust themselves forward and upward towards the bar.
And all poles made of the same material?
Well, the pole has progressed over the years from the initial days of wooden poles, bamboo poles, to aluminium poles, and now to fiberglass poles. There are some graphite and fiberglass compound poles out there in use. As a matter of fact, one of the 4 remaining competitors, Marian Kolosser of Poland, is using a black pole, which is a compound of graphite and fiberglass.
Don't forget that in about 10 minutes' time, the 4x400 metre semi-finals for men. Australia in the second semi-final. Maury, tactically, how do you think Bubka's played this? This is Vigneron, who's going at 5.85. Remembering he set a world record at the Golden Gala meeting here in Rome 2 years ago at 5.91. Has Bubka played this right, do you think?
Well, he has a habit of just letting everyone else do the work. He's very confident in his own ability.
85.
Ooh, close. I think he'll get this. He has a habit of worming over the bar on these high heights. A couple of times in his career he's been known to even grab the bar and hold it on as he manages to squeak over it.
It's a long jump situation, Maury, with Lewis at 8.67, Emian 8.30, Myricks 8.23, Evangelisti 8.19, Hirschberg at 8.16, Connolly back in 7th placing, and Jefferson. So the cut-off point, Paul, was 8.09. It's an incredible standard.
That's right. That's after 3 jumps. Now, there's the top 8 who are going to fight out the medals, although I think the gold has already gone.
Here's Vigneron again, Maury. Seemed to hit this with his legs on the way up. He's going for 5.85. First attempt.
Superb tactician, Vigneron. He gets well back, inverts himself on the pole, handstands beautifully off it, but no, not quite enough height with the bottom of the legs. The shins, I think, touching it.
So Kolosser will be Gary Minahan. They'll go for Australia in the second semi-final of the 4x400 metres. That's coming up in about 10 minutes' time. The first semi-final in about 5. And there's Livskaya, 2 world record holders, 1 in the shot and 1 in the pole vault. And here's Bubka, who's come back into the competition at 5.85. Remembering, he's only had 1 jump so far at 5.70 and sailed over the bar. The world record is 6.03. Maury, nobody's achieved this height so far. Vigneron's had 1 miss, Gautelin 1 miss, and Kolosser 1 miss. So if Bubka can go straight over here, then the gold medal will be almost around his neck.
Yes, he's seen the opportunity, and I think he's going to try and take it. They've all got a miss on them, so his competitors, that is, so he's going to try and get in and jump it on the first time and go to the lead of the table. He lifts that big pole of his and thunders down the runway. Big bend, pushes himself, and that is an enormous jump.
What a massive clearance by Bubka. He sailed over the bar, Maury. There was daylight, I should almost say nightfall, to spare at 5.85, and this man is something different again. He's
a hard pole of his, very heavy. It certainly flings him into the atmosphere, and away he goes, and just look at the ease of that clearance.
Is 6 metres possible tonight?
I think a lot more than 6 metres is possible tonight, judging by that clearance.
World record is 6.03. Bubka has set a world record at this stadium. And here's the style of the greatest pole vaulter ever.
Definitely the greatest pole vaulter ever. 16 world records to his credit, and that's one of the reasons why, those big clearances.
You've seen a lot of track and field, been extraordinary. 8.67, 8.65, 8.67.
What great consistency from this man. That smooth, fast run up, and again out there, that long distance once again. The crowd really got revved up behind him. This competition has developed into an extremely top-line competition. Look at the height, stretches out. And one thinks it's such superb competition right through to 8th place. And yet this man is 37 centimetres clear of 2nd place at the moment. So very tight after that as he stretches out. Emian still in 2nd place, was 8.30. Myricks on 8.23. Evangelisti 8.19. Hirschberg 8.16. 8 metres 43 on that last jump. 8.43, which is his worst jump, and still 13 centimetres better than 2nd place.
So he's dominating this competition like Bubka is in the pole vault. Vigneron has missed at 5.85 on his second attempt. So both Bubka and Lewis have what looks to be an unassailable advantage at the moment. The 4x400, second semi-final to the Olympic Stadium in Rome. Presentation of the 3,000 metre steeplechase. And you can imagine when Panetta got onto the dais, just what sort of a roar he got. Melzer, who ran a personal best, European champion. There's Van Dijk from Belgium, who ran the race of his life. He was the #1 in the world last year, but failed to get a medal at the European Championships.
Chris, I noticed that Francesco Panetta displayed Romeo, which is the official mascot. We tried to work out earlier, what sort of animal is it?
Let me have a look, David.
I hope it's not a tough question, but I noticed he displayed it when he was presented with the gold medal.
Looks like a little fox. It's not a koala bear. It does look a bit like a koala bear.
What a moment for him.
Fabulous.
Quite had the height at 5.85. He managed to squeak over 5.80. At the moment, he's lying in third, unless Marion Colossa can go.
On his fourth round, currently in second place. That's a big jump. That is a big jump. I don't know if it'll challenge Carl's lead. He's 8.30 in second place. That jump was 8.53. It's an 8.53 jump in second place.
So back to the track, and here are the Australians with Robert Stone. So Jamaica lead out from Robert Stone, Emian with that big 8.53. The West Germans in third placing. The GDR in lane 4, the West Germans in 6, Kenya in lane 4, I should say, the GDR in 5. The United States in 3, Yugoslavia 2, and the Italians are well back. Stone's on a pretty good first leg. He's moved up on the Jamaicans, but Karlovitz has had a huge first leg for the GDR, and Everett's done the same for the United States. They've caught the Kenyans. Now Stone goes to Minahan, and the Germans are away now. Muller is running the second leg, and running the second leg for the United States is Franks. So Gary Minahan here, Raylene, has to try and hold his position. The Jamaicans will try and run him down. The Kenyans are in third placing, and so Minahan's under pressure.
The East Germans and the Americans are up the front there. They're cruising at this stage. But Gary Minahan has to get in there on the plinth and do as much hard work as he can, stay up there close so that Darren at least has a chance. You've got to remember that he's got to do a little bit more work than he normally would here, because Peter Stubbs really needs every bit of help he can have.
So it's gone past Minahan, unfortunately. Gary's now 3 from the back, and the Americans have got right away, and the East Germans have dropped the baton. They dropped the baton. Yes, they have. The East Germans are out of it. Unbelievable, because really we expected them to challenge the United States in the final, and they'll be absolutely devastated. And the US are away with Kenya and Jamaica. A sensational happening here, and the Australians are out of it, Raylene. They're at the back with Stubbsy, and not even if Darren was back in his Los Angeles form would we have a chance. So that is quite amazing. The East Germans out of it, and most disappointing.
Michael Franks running a beautiful leg here for the US, though. He's looking really comfortable.
So Franks brings them into the straight. The stadium, the people here can't believe that the Germans have gone. And Muller was the one that where the problem occurred, and he didn't run a leg today. So Franks takes it over and gives the baton there to the final man for the US, Antonio Mackay. And away they go. Kenya, Bert Cameron now running for Jamaica. and Darren Clark's in 7th position. But the Australians, well, they can only go for a time now and hope to better that 3:04 this morning, but it doesn't look like we'll do that. But the Americans are in full flight, Raylene, and with Butch Reynolds to put into the team and with the GDR not there, these are the favourites.
Yes, Antonio Mackay's looking very smooth there, running quite comfortably, knowing he's going to qualify with great ease. It's a pity for the Australians, but I think that they're way out of their depth with this slightly weakened team.
So the US coming home with Antonio Mackay. The time's going to be fast. If Mackay keeps going, they'll go under 3. And they're chewing him on. Look at this time. It's fantastic. 2:59. Kenya second. Cameron brings Jamaica home and then West Germany. And the Australians have come in 7th place. But the big story for that race was that that's a World Championship record, by the way, for the United States. They've smashed the championship record of 2:59.08. The old record was 3 minutes .79. But the big story was in that second leg, was when the East Germans lost everything. But here's Mackay coming home, and you couldn't see it, Raylene, but his teammates were willing him to not to ease up, but to go right to the line. And there are the Australians. We'll try and hopefully get a time for them, Robert Stone and Darren Clark.
Great running by Antonio Mackay here, the Olympic bronze medalist. He's looking very smooth. There's one of his teammates egging him on.
Here's Vigneron, 3rd attempt at 5:85.
He needs this to stay in the competition and be able in position to challenge Bubka. Great tactical and technical jumper. He's really motoring in. Plants hard. Up he goes. Is he over? No, the bar felt when he was in the pit. Well, well, well. Well, well, well. Vigneron is out. That just leaves Colossa to have his final attempt at 85. Otherwise, you've guessed it, Bubka is the winner after only 2 jumps.
Let's take a break.
Mighty awesome.
Yes, they look like they're going to be very tough to beat. It was a pity we just saw the East Germans drop the baton. Why, I don't know. The runner seemed clear, the East German runner seemed clear. He was in his own ground. There was no one running past him, so he's probably touched the baton on his hip or something and just dropped it, and that's the way it goes.
Composure of Mackay on that ankle leg, that's a very pleasing sight for the Americans. He was certainly egged on by his teammates there to try and get it down around that 3 minutes.
That's right. Mackay looked fantastic. He was the guy who came 3rd in Los Angeles, just in front of Darren Clark, and he ran a beautiful leg then. And as we also mentioned, Butch Reynolds is yet to come into that team, so it's going to be a sensational run.
Well, what about some of the other medals to be decided tomorrow? The one that really interests us is the men's marathon. Robert De Castella, but we noted
3:04 and a little bit extra, 3:04.69, Paul.
It was 5:09
in the relays, and the national record there by the Canadians. So the pole vault has been put at 6:05, I can tell you, and that will be a world record if Bubka can break it. Now 6:03 is his world record. He's put it up to 6:05. Maury, what's the situation with the medals? Because I think Colossa has missed out.
Yes, the gold medal, of course, has gone to Sergi Bubka. He's only taken 2 jumps to achieve that. Terry Vigneron from France has got the silver medal with a jump of 5:80. He's won that on a count back from Rodion Javelin of the USSR, who also jumped 5:80, and a very close 4th with 5:80, but beaten on a count back Marian Colossa of Poland. And it's interesting to note the great camaraderie that exists between these pole vaulters. They've all come up and wished Bubka good luck for his attempt at 6:05. They're really egging him on, and they're really wishing he can top the achievements of this evening that have happened in the Rome Olympic Stadium by setting a world record.
Well, we've had Lewis in the long jump tonight in remarkable form. Bubka has looked in superb form, and I know, Maury, all the way through that your thoughts, 5th attempt.
This is Larry Myrick's of the United States, who's been jumping in superb form at the moment. He's in 3rd place on 8.23 meters. This is his 5th jump. Myrick's who won the '79 World Cup. And again, he stretches out, big 8-meter plus jump. It's a white flag. So currently at the moment, Carl Lewis on 8.67. Robert Emian on 8.53. Larry Myrick's 8.23. Evangelisti of Italy on 8.19. Myrick needs to get a little further away from Evangelisti. There he is using that 20 flat speed of his. A great 200-meter runner, this man. Good extension. Can you see the board yet? He has room on that takeoff board.
It's a big one.
8.33. So he's got that little breathing space from Evangelisti. But Emian has slipped away from him, though. Emian on 8.53 in second, so we're really getting the long jumps out. Hirschberg in fifth at 8.16. Umjinov at 8.11 on that first jump. Conley on 8.10 is struggling with 3 fouls. And Jefferson on 8.09. He had a lot of difficulty there with the wind. As the wind sprung up into his face, he held on, he came down, and then I think that he lost it about halfway down. He just eased through. He wasn't going to damage himself by pulling up too soon. He is leading on 8.67. Emian closing 14 centimetres behind him on 8.53. Myrix has stretched to 8.33, 20 centimetres down on Emian. But a good breathing space from Evangelisti on 8.19. The competition is very, very tight at the top level. This is Jefferson. We're back to Bubka, Sergei Bubka of the Soviet Union. He goes through this stretching routine on the top of the runway, making sure of his flexibility. He took an awful pounding in the triple jump where he took the silver medal the other day. He had to pull out a big jump to qualify. And now, of course, he's got the 8.10, then followed it with 2 fouls. So he's trying very hard to concentrate. The wind has now shifted, and he's just spotted that. So he's got a tailwind at the moment. But like all stadiums, the wind tends to swirl, so you can't sort of rely on it for very, very long. Mike Conley now, he's languishing in 7th place, but he's a superb competitor. He stretches out nicely, and it's another red flag. So that's his 4th foul. That leaves him 1 jump now to improve himself or get into any form of medal position. He's jumping superbly.
Il risultato della gara di qualificazione salto in alto uomini gruppo A.
Foul on his 5th attempt, so Lewis is leading the long jump competition with Emmy in 2nd, Myrix in 3rd placing, Evangelisti in 4th placing. Lewis has 1 jump to go. But Bubka has stripped, I think they've got the 1.24 metres. Nimki was 2nd with 21.21. That was a personal best for her. And Muller 3rd, 20.76. The Russian winning from 2 from the GDR. So the world record holder is now the world champion. And Maury Bubka's almost set, I think. It's been, what, 20 minutes since he's last had a jump, or even longer than that.
It's taken an inordinate amount of time to actually get the bar up and set at 6.05, the world record which he wanted to attempt. But now he's on the runway.
So here it is.
Enormous concentration.
16 world records to this man, already the world record holder. The only man over 6.03, and I do not believe it.
He is very disappointed.
They are going to have a presentation for what, I don't know, the women's shot put.
I wouldn't be surprised if Sergei Bubka puts his pole away and retires from the competition. He is very, very annoyed.
Well, you couldn't blame him. We've waited for half an hour to set this up. And the Italians have made a big error here. They have made a blue. Bubka had psyched himself. 68,000 people have waited for it. And just when it was about to happen, when a man was going to sail over at 6.05, or at least give it a great attempt, they bring out a shot put presentation. I've got nothing against Liverskaya. She's a wonderful athlete. She's the world record holder, but her countryman over there has been done the wrong thing by Maury. You know him pretty well. Will he go on or not?
I think he will go on, but I don't know if he'll actually get himself attuned to that mental peak. Again, he was very, very peeved, as you could see by the look on his face when they trumpeted that his victory ceremony.
Can you believe it, Ron?
I've never seen anything like it in all my life. I mean, they have to be absolutely stupid.
Well, if Mr. Neville. And here we go. Is it a new world record? Bubka.
Into the box. Big Ben, no. Well, really, I don't think you could expect much more after that. I would have to say a disgusting performance from the Italian officials that put a victory ceremony on when a man was attempting a world record. The organisers have had postcards printed with photos of Ben Johnson's world record, of Stefka Kostandinova's world record, and here was another opportunity. Yet they prepared to let it go like that. It's very, very annoying.
Well, Bubka, who's been waiting for over 25 minutes since Gautelin, Vigneron and Colasa have left the competition, and he's just sailed over at 5.70 on his way through, and then sailed over at 5.85. And just when he was getting himself right for 6:05, that's what's happened.
He really didn't make much of an attempt at that one, Bruce. I think he might have just used that one to try and get himself warm again and mentally attuned.
And we're in a most unfortunate situation here because we've extended the satellite as long as we have been able to. And unfortunately, this pole vault competition has been going for nearly 5 hours, and we're going to have to leave it very shortly because we're losing the satellite. We can't do anything about it, but that's the situation. Bubka is still attempting a world record. Lewis is leading in the long jump at 8:67 with Emian in second placing. Lewis has one jump to go, but it's been a slow old day, and we are going to record anything that does happen, so you'll see it on Network 10 tomorrow. So unfortunately, we're as disappointed as you will be at home, but the satellite will go and we have no control over it. We've extended it as long as possible. I can promise you that the men's marathon finish will come on tomorrow night, but Murray, it's just gone on and on this competition, and Bubka could take any amount of time now.
Yes, he could. It's a little bit of bad luck that he wasn't able to get things right in his first attempt, but certainly if he does manage to scale this astonishing height, it'll be on Channel 10 tomorrow.
So on behalf of Ron Clark, Paul Jeans and Murray Platt and all the people over here in Rome, thanks for being with us tonight. It has been a spectacular...
The World Championships. Lewis had to settle for the silver in the 100-metre sprint, but he didn't look in any danger as he coasted to the gold in the long jump.
A record crowd of 68,000 packed the stadium in Rome, knowing there was a great chance of an Italian victory in the 3,000-metre steeplechase. 24-year-old Francesco Panetta was determined not to let them down, and he sent the crowd into a frenzy when he took the lead with 5 laps to go.
Second and Mills a third. The Italians won't hear of Panetta being beaten. They are celebrating.
Last year, Panetta took the silver medal in the European Championships, but today it was gold and a place in Italian sporting history.
Both Mills and Van Dyke are big kickers, but have they given Panetta too big a start? I think they have, and the Italians rise to a man because Panetta's at the last and he's over. And Mills is flashing home for second and Van Dyke, but look at this for celebration. Italian flags everywhere. They love this man, and he's run a national record. Carl Lewis is on the runway.
In the men's long jump, Carl Lewis twice leapt 8:67 to take his first gold medal at these games, with surely another one coming up in tonight's 4x100-metre relay.
The extra motivation here, the extra additional spur. Can he do it? It's another big jump.
The Brat was back.
Meters of the World Athletics Championships, but he's still the world's best in the long jump. While Lewis leapt a huge 8.67 metres, it was a day of disappointment for the British.
While it's been plain sailing so far for the Brits, it came undone in the men's 4x100-metre semi-final. They were disqualified after their second runner just couldn't wait. The United States team won through to tomorrow's final. The British 4x400-metre squad also had trouble, but managed to come in second. Australia finished a disappointing last. World record holder Fatima Whitbread only just qualified for the final of the women's javelin, but her injured shoulder is still a problem. Carl Lewis was back on the track. His gold medal in the long jump was his 72nd consecutive win. The highlight of the day was local hero...
...aside the pretenders to his crown to successfully defend his world pole vault title.
Enormous. It's a big jump.
8:67, Paul.
8:67.
It smashed his championship record. That really has set the standard.
But the biggest cheers from the 68...
In the men's long jump final from last night.
Giovanni Evangelisti on his final attempt. He is lying in 4th place at the moment. He must get over 8.30 to get a chance at a medal here. He stretches out and it's a big jump. Salutes the crowd who's been terribly supportive of him. Evangelisti on 8.19. He has to have a big jump on that last one. Receiving the adulation of the crowd. Here he comes in, driving to it. He's been so superb a competitor. Stretches out. It's a beautiful jump. It's a white flag on this jump as he hits the board perfectly. Evangelisti, it's going to be very important. He's 4th at the moment with 8.19. Myricks is ahead of him on 8.33. Evangelisti, who was 3rd in Los Angeles, 3rd in the European Championships. The crowd roars. 8.38, he's in 3rd place. He's got third place, but Myrick's will follow him. He's thrown his shirt away. The crowd are absolutely ecstatic with that jump. 8:38. He is now in third place. Larry Myrick's. He has just lost third place by 5 centimetres. This great athlete now has to pull it out on that last jump. And that's another big one. Has he got it? Has he got an 8:30 plus jump? He must get 8:38 or beyond. Myrick's with a speed on the runway. It's a tremendous pressure jump for him for a medal. There he goes, rises into the air. The pitch kick extends beautifully. The crowd has roared. And that would mean it's not enough. 8:20, not enough. Fourth place for Myrick's. Carl Lewis, last jump, the final of the long jump. Stretches out to a magnificent jump. It's a magnificent finish. White flag. Hands are raised. Huge applause from the crowd nearby. Here comes Lewis down. Hits that board beautifully. Stretches out. Where's he gone to? Look at his feet. Extend as far. Battery of photographers following him down. What great temperament of this man. Waited to the final moment before he jumped. Extends as far as possible. Ooh, that is right on the board. He got the white flag, however. 8:60. What a phenomenal series. 8 metres 67, 8 metres 65, 8 metres 67, 8 metres 43, a foul, and 8 metres 60 to finish it up with. This man is certainly a great...
Just begun. There's a huge crowd in the stadium. There's a huge field in this event. 67 in total. Perhaps the highest quality marathon that we've ever seen. And Robert De Castella's nicely positioned. It's very early. He's in about 6th place at the moment. A couple of his old rivals are out in the field, including a Kanga. There's Monaghetti, who's wearing number 30. So the numbers for the Australians: 23 De Castella, 30 Monaghetti, 29 for Peter Mitchell. And a couple of the other big names that we'll tell you: Sala is 2:29 and Robley is 2:30. McConan, the Ethiopian, is 2:79. The two Germans who ran so well at last year's Europeans are 3:86 for Salzman and 3:95 for Stefani. And the Italians are 5:82 Bourdin, 5:80 Bettiol and 6:03 Pizzolato. Galen, it's a marvellous moment. It's very, very exciting.
16 jumpers in the final because 2:27 was what they all cleared, and they refused to go any higher. They got together and decided no more, and they all had one jump and jumped underneath the bar. They had too many interruptions in the qualifying round. This is Malchenko, who's had his second miss at this height of 2:15. The competition started at 2 metres 10 with only one jumper having a go at that height, which was the Marinov of Bulgaria. Malchenko is in the Soviet Army here, is having a lot of difficulties. He came in at this height of 2:15, which is just a little bit over 7 feet in the old language. So the 16 finalists include Patrick Sjöberg, the world record holder from Sweden, the Olympic champion Dietmar Mogenberg of West Germany, and also former world record holder, and another ex-world record holder in Igor Paklin of the Soviet Union, who is probably considered one of the best competitors in this event. So it is a very loaded field, with probably young Ortiz of Spain on 2:27 being the lowest in this field, who equaled his personal best to get through.
And Zhu missed out, the man from China.
Yes, Zhu had a disastrous qualifying round. He struggled to get over 2:24 and he just couldn't go any higher. Quite a number of other jumpers did have difficulties. It was a fairly large qualifying group, but he struggled. The impressive ones, of course, the Svara of Czechoslovakia jumped well, and of course the defending title holder Avdayenko of the Soviet Union looked magnificent as well.
This country run on a couple of occasions at least, Galen, and there's run in road races here.
Yes, he loves Cinque Millini. He finally won the event after trying on numerous occasions to do so. And I don't think he's been back since his victory here, but Italy's a place that he feels very at home in, and he spent a lot of time actually training with one of the Italian coaches here, the coach of Gianni Poli, who's been helping him with his training in Brescia, which is wonderful that another country will help a foreign athlete prepare for a world championship like this, in which their own members have a very good chance of winning.
So let's leave the marathon for just a moment, because the defending title holder in the high jump, that's Avdiyenko from the Soviet Union, is on the runway.
It's Gennady Avdiyenko of the Soviet Union, who's defending his title here. Jumped superbly in the qualifying rounds yesterday. The height of the bar is 2.20 meters, which has already been cleared by a number of jumpers who came in at this height, their starting height. This is Avdiyenko's first jump at this height. He's an extremely tall man, standing 2.02 meters in height. So it certainly would not disgrace a basketball court at all. His occupation is a refrigeration mechanic. And certainly today, of course, in the warmth of Rome, he's looking for some big jumping. He was a surprise winner in Helsinki 4 years ago. It's one of 3 Soviet jumpers. Unfortunately, one of their jumpers, Malchenko, has already been eliminated. Oh, very comfortable clearance. There's lots of daylight there. 2.20 meters, which is a little bit under 7'3" in the old language. There's Avdiyenko. Very smooth run in, quite comfortable. Starting to work some speed up towards a takeoff. Double arm swing, and look at that height. Oh, 2.02 meters of him over the bar at 2.20 meters.
The defending champion still going in the high jump. This is the final of the 4x100 meter relay for women. It's a big relay finals day here. The French are in lane 8, but the key teams here are the Soviet Union in 4, the United States in 5, and the GDR in 6. Silky Gladish is leading off for the GDR. She's already won the 100, 200, so she's going for her 3rd gold medal. Alice Brown leads off for the United States. It's Florence Griffith in the back straight. And leading off for the Soviet Union is Shluza, who made the semi-finals in the 100. Raylene, the GDR had all sorts of problems in their heat with Oshkanat to Beirut. That's 2 to 3 in the back straight, so I'm sure they've worked on that, and they'll probably get it right in the final. They normally do.
Yes, I'm absolutely sure that they've sat down and discussed the problem and gone out and actually had some practice runs to right it, and I'm certain that they're chasing the gold medal in this.
The world record is 41.37, but the action should be in the middle. Final of the 4x1. Gladish going for 3 gold medals. And we'll watch Gladish. She should give them a flying start. France out in 8. In 7, West Germany, and Gladish is away. She has run a brilliant first leg and has got away from Brown as they cross over, and Oshkanat, the hurdler, gets the baton in the back straight. So the Germans are away now, the East Germans, and also the Americans are running very well. The East Germans in 6, the Americans in lane 5. Now watch for this baton change. It was better, but the Americans have got a chance, because on the last leg, it's Marshall against Gurr, and Marshall with a moving start should probably hold Gurr. So an upset, I feel. Marshall gets the baton in front of Gurr and the Russians. The United States in front. Gurr won't get to Marshall. Marshall's increasing the lead, and this is an upset. The US come home and they run 41.57. That's just 2/10 outside the world record. I dare say it's the fastest any American team has ever gone, and they love it. They're ecstatic. The Germans are 2nd, and 3rd the Soviet Union. Well, I don't have the figures with me, Raylene, but I'd bet the championship record has gone, but I bet no American team has ever gone quite so fast.
I'd have to agree with you, Bruce. That was a great run by them. Griffiths ran a sensational 3rd turn, or 2nd turn, 3rd 100 metres.
She was magnificent, Griffith. There she is on the right of screen.
And congratulations on a great victory yesterday.
Thank you.
Now, you look very, very strong, and a tremendous clearance at 5.85.
Yeah, yesterday I very well jumped. 5.85, very high jumps.
Did you think after 5.85 you could jump the world record?
Yes, I can jump yesterday world record. It's only difficult yesterday. It's a big competition, long time. little bad problem with the victory ceremony.
Were you really concentrating very hard?
Yes.
Now, do you think the world record is a possibility at Brussels next week?
My condition now, it's very well. I think it's not difficult for me now.
I understand you have been sick before these championships, perhaps with the flu?
Yes. Before 7 days before main competition, I am flu.
Now, do you look forward to the Olympic Games next year?
Yeah, I won't participate in Olympic Games. I have all medal, only not have Olympic medal.
And that's the one you want?
Yes, of course.
Ball clearance, and he'll join Paklin of the Soviet Union, Svara of Czechoslovakia as the only jumpers to have cleared 2 meters 25. At this point in the competition, there's only one athlete who's been eliminated, which is Malchenko of the Soviet Union. Look at Schaubert, the world record holder at 2 meters 42. And will he go close today or not?
Up the home straight. I can't see the Canadians beating Lewis, though.
The world record was set in Los Angeles at 37.83, and the previous world record was set in Helsinki at 37.86. But I doubt whether this American team is as strong. They don't have Smith running the bend. Johnson wanted to move there, and he may get a warning. We'll find out in just a moment, Raylene. He was very, very anxious. He knows that he must get an absolute fly on the Americans to get away. He must establish some break because he has to hand the baton to Mayhorn, then Williams and Dwyer, and they're really one man short.
It'd probably be a great success for Johnson if the Canadians do beat the Americans. It'd be really giving it to Lewis, wouldn't it?
And I think Carl will have great pleasure if he can bring the baton home in first placing.
Couldn't agree more.
There's no doubt that there's an intense rivalry between the two. Johnson stepping up to 200. He's running a 200 in Brussels at the Van Damme meet, which is the Grand Prix final next Friday. And Lewis has been chasing him for another 100 this year. So from the outside, Hungary, West Germany, Jamaica, the United States, Canada, the Soviet Union, Italy in 2. There's Pavoni, the hero. This is his 3rd final he's been in at these championships, and the People's Republic of China. McRae leads off the Americans, and Johnson for Canada. No warning against Johnson. Away. And Ben got a good start. So did McRae. You'd expect that. Johnson will try and run up to him. He'll take a little bit off him. In fact, Johnson has run a brilliant first leg. Let's see the change to Mayhorn. The Canadians are in front, but the Americans have gone away through McNeil. McNeil's running a big second leg, and the Russians are right there too. So they go to the 3rd leg, and Glantz takes the baton, and the Americans are just in front, but the Russians are with them, and the Canadians, and out wide the West Germans. Lewis to take the baton. Let's see if it's clean. He'll switch it to his right hand. He does, and now he has to run down the Russian. The Russians have got a break. Carl's coming at him. Carl will get up. Look at this Superman. What a runner. Lewis first, the Russian second, and Raymond Stewart comes home for 3rd. 37.90. What a performance. Just like Hayes in 1964 in Tokyo. He gave them a start, and right over the top he went. That, Raylene, was thrilling to see Lewis give the Soviet Union runner Krylov a whopping start and run right over the top.
I suspected yesterday after the semi-finals, Bruce, that Krylov or the Soviet Union team would be up there challenging the Americans. Krylov, to me, looked as though he faltered under pressure and didn't run a particularly great home straight. Lewis, on the other hand, was relaxed and determined and just blew the rest of them away.
I thought for a moment that not even Lewis could make that ground up. But this man is something special. And from a moving start, there's no stopping him. Krylov had the advantage. There's Glantz on Lewis's right, and little fella is Lee McNeil, who actually ran a very good second leg. McRae, Johnson took plenty of space off McRae early. Ben ran a brilliant first leg, but Lewis was quite outstanding on that final leg. So he's going to go home with 2 gold medals. Here we are, Raylene. Krylov gets the baton. Lewis goes left to right, and he's giving him a metre.
Yes, it was interesting that Carl changed the baton from his left hand to his right hand. That's sort of a no-no these days in the relay change area. But Krylov, yes, you can see him under pressure. He seems to be panicking and slowing down. Carl comfortably took him with about 40 metres to go and ran on home with his arm in the air. Lewis looks magnificent. He's up and running. beautifully concentrating, knows he's going to get Krylov, doesn't panic like we saw him panic in the 100 metres. Arm in the air, a smile, look at the time, and they're the winners.
Well, he has had the change left to right every time we've seen him. And Raylene, I said earlier that he's not the best 100-metre runner I've seen, but I think he's the best athlete. Have you seen anyone that excites you as much?
I don't think so. He's so biomechanically sound, and he is very beautiful to watch move. He's smooth, and there's no jarring movements, and he seems to have total control over every point of his body. And I think that's why I like watching him, because I prefer that as against the rougher style of the Ben Johnson, who really seems, he's very jerky and is absolute brute strength.
Well, there's a lot happening here, Raylene, because Tessa Sanderson, the Commonwealth champion and Olympic champion, is on the runway in the Javelin. This is her second attempt.
Yes, Dietmar Mogenberg, the ex-world record holder. There's two ex-world recorders. What a comfortable clearance on 2:25. Now the competition's really warming up, because so far Packlin of the Soviet Union, Svara Czechoslovakia, Sjoberg of Sweden, Parsons Great Britain, Thranhart West Germany, Kravchuk Poland, Saunders Bermuda, all over 2:25. Very comfortable clearance for Mogenberg, the Olympic champion. Extremely tall man. Look at the height on that. Moves his legs well clear, and it's a comfortable height, 2:25.
So in the men's 4x1, the United States defeated the Soviet Union and Jamaica. Take a moment to celebrate with the Americans, the world champions in the 4x100-metre relay. The GDR in second place and the Soviet Union in third place. And there is the king of the mile, Mr. Cram, Steve Cram, who is favourite for the 1500. And that event is coming up in 5 minutes' time.
In games in 1985. He is the first jumper to attempt 2 metres 29. 2:29. That's a centimetre higher than the Australian record. And at the moment, there have only been 3 athletes eliminated. Packlin, beautiful run in. And he's had a surprising miss. So at this stage, Gerd Nagel of West Germany has been eliminated, having jumped 2:20, and Robert Marinov of Bulgaria out at 2:20. And of course, Malchenko, the other Soviet jumper, did not get a clearance, having missed at the opening height. This is Packlin, who, surprisingly after his world record in Canberra, was unable to repeat that performance and lost at the World Cup. Seemed to have jumped more into the bar that time, didn't get the lift that was required. But he's a superb competitor and a person that the other jumpers worry about a lot because of his big-time performances.
The news in the marathon is that Rob De Castella and Steve Monaghetti are both well placed. In the main group, chasing Peter Maher, and 2-1 of the Spivey 4, Cheshire 5, Gonzalez 6. There's Cheriot, there's Scott, there's Hillard, there's Spivey, Cheshire, Gonzalez, one of the favourites. Billy, the big danger to Cram. Cram, the defending champion. 3 times a Commonwealth champion gold medalist, twice the European champion. Kulka, third in the Euros last year. Khalifa, Herold, one of the big chances, and Jeff Roy. 1500, Ron, you must be looking forward to it. Cram still the man?
Yes, I think Cram is the class of the field. Billy looked, I know, very, very good indeed in the semi-final, but Cram was 3 or 4 or 5 seconds off his best, and Billy was running close to unknown territory. And although you can look very easily when you're just on the fringe of it, I think that when you really take those extra 3 or 4 seconds off, it's very tough going. I believe Cram has probably got the real edge on this field, but watch Billy. He's a beautiful runner for the future.
And what about for Mike Hillard?
Yes, Mike has to really get himself in a good position if he can.
He's been very impressive. Away. So Cheriot from the inside, and immediately Billy's out the back. And Cram's much closer than we expected, because he normally goes out the back as well. Hillard's there. Khalifa's taken up the running from Herold. Jeff Roy, and they're walking early, Ron, with Scott and Cram in the middle and Billy too from the back.
Yeah, as expected, they're starting to walk. Cram must have expected it to be a bit faster than this. The American's gone to the front. That's Spivey, is it?
No, it's
the other one.
It's the German Herold.
Oh, Herold, right.
No,
Herold.
Correction, Jeff Roy from France.
Right. Sorry, Scott's in the second position. Americans in the second position and third. Now, Scott often leads, but he hasn't for the last couple of years or so, and the pace is very comfortable.
They're walking really early. Jeff
Yes,
Roy leads Scott. Khalifa 3 wide. Spivey tucked away. Hillard 5th, and Herold, who's outside of Cheshire. The Kenyan with the socks is Cherioit, and he's off. He's going around Cram, and Cherioit's going to quicken this up. Kulka 3 from the back. Cram is moving around slowly. Gonzalez 2 from the back, and Billy. Gonzalez 2nd and Billy 3rd, and Cram accelerates. And away goes the world champion. But Billy is looking very good, Ron, and we're in for a classic last lap because Billy's in for shoot, and he's going to put it on Cram now.
He is indeed. Cram spent most of his chips. Cram's got one more kick left. He usually holds one thing in reserve, but Billy's looking much better than him.
Cram leads, but Billy has coasted up to him, and the champion, the king of the mile, is going to have to find something, and Gonzalez and a gap to Spivey. Cram just in front. Now Billy will go to him from Gonzalez, and the medals are there, but Billy's looking good, and he's gone past Cram. Billy has dashed away from Cram and Gonzalez, and Billy has exploded, and Cram is out of it, and Billy has run 5 or 6 metres in front of Gonzalez, and Cram will miss a medal, and Billy is going to win, and we'll hail a new champion. Billy from Somalia goes home to win by 8 metres from Gonzalez. Spivey got 3rd, then Cheshire Cherioit, then Herald and Hillard. Poor Cram. It's the worst race he's ever put in. Kulka, Jeffroy, 2 from the back, Cherioit, and Scott last. So the 2 men that ran 1st and 2nd had disasters. 1st and 2nd in Helsinki had disastrous races, and Billy, along with Harvey Glantz, Lee McNeil and Lee McRae, are about to get their medals. And we'll leave this ceremony for a moment because there's so much happening here, and Fatima Whitbread is on the runway in the Javelin. Thranhard to me on the runway.
This is Carlo Thranhard of West Germany at 2 metres 29, and he's got it. 2:29. He joins Jan Svara of Czechoslovakia, who's also cleared this height. They're the only 2 that have cleared the height at 2:29, yet there is a very large group of high jumpers still in, somewhere around about 12, 13 jumpers still in the competition. Very close clearance to Thranhard.
As was the presentation ceremony, which I've seen the Sjoberg jump, and he's very, very good indeed. I'd love to see the first 8-foot jump.
Think we've got a chance tonight?
I think we've got a chance. I'm still wishing for it anyway.
What do you think, Paul? Any hope of an 8-foot jump?
I've got an excellent chance for it. I mean, it's, as long as that breeze doesn't spring up too much. I mean, it's a cool evening, and but just warming up.
Stars and Stripes, United States once again. Sergei Bubka, you can see him. He's just sitting to my left at the moment with a tracksuit on, and he's watching this with a great deal of interest because Paklin and his great friend Avdiyenko are still out there competing. 2 from the Soviet Union left. Bubka missed his world record last night because of circumstances. Maybe we'll get one tonight, Paul. 4 left, and they're the right 4 for this event.
That's right. The world record holder, 2 ex-world record holders, and the defending champion. And here's one of the ex-world record holders, Paklin, 2 metres 40. That's a miss. In old terms, that is 7 feet 10.5 inches. This Paklin, he gave it a solid wallop on this one. Where he drives in, sit that on the way up with the small of his back or just at the buttocks. No, he's come down slightly on it, so they're still getting the height there. So Paklin is in 2nd place on the countback. Avdiyenko's in 3rd place on the countback. Mogenberg had a miss at 2:38 and has passed to 2:40. And Sjoberg is the next person to jump, the world record holder. There he is. At 2 metres 40. Now the only ones in the field to have cleared this height have been Sjoberg, who has cleared 2:42 for the world record. Paklin, who's cleared 2:41, was the ex-world record. The other 2 are at new heights for themselves, never been this high. Patrick Sjoberg at 2 metres 40. He virtually almost lists his profession as a high jumper. Looking for Sweden's gold medal here. No, that is his first miss. Sjoberg's first miss. His 5th jump in the competition to date. Beautiful style. A little stutter there he put in, I think, may have put him off slightly. He hit that on the way up.
Paul, my Swedish friends tell me that he's a bit of a rebel, is young Patrick Sjöberg. He's only 22 years of age, but he's really run up against the Swedish authorities lots of times. He smokes a packet of cigarettes a day. He drives a motorbike everywhere, including wrong sides of streets, up alleyways, all over the country.
He will sit it in Rome.
Yeah, he loved the Rome. I think he's a dead set Roman, but he really is. He came from a very poor suburbs in Gothenburg, and it was only the high jumping. He did nothing. He hated school. He was a runaway from school. He's a real Pat Cash character at school. And high jumping has been his life ever since. I mean, at 17 years of age, he started high jump and has done nothing ever since.
Well, that's good for Patrick Sjöberg. It might be very difficult to control, but here's Gennady Avdiyenko of the Soviet Union. And as Bruce pointed out, we have Sergei Bubka just a few feet away from us with his coach and taking great interest in this. I thought Bubka leapt about 7 feet into the air when he cleared it the last time. He's going to have to be careful because he's going to fly straight over a few cameras here. Avdiyenko, Soviet Union. He is fighting for his title tooth and nail. He's getting the height, but he's coming down onto it. He's getting magnificent height. Let's have a close look on replay here, because I'm sure he's got the height there. Bearing in mind your centre of gravity around your stomach, maybe in the back as he goes over here. Drives up. He's a long way out from the bar. See, he's got it, but he's hit it again on the way down. So look at the height he's getting there before he brings it down. Mogenberg got it. Here's a replay of that one. I think he's hit that with his armpit. Yeah, there he is. He's got that with his armpit virtually. He really had a bad miss. He's waited quite a while, actually. Here's Packlin. Will take his second attempt now. All four jumpers have missed at 2.40 meters. Sjöberg has the lead on the count back, clearing 2.38 on his first attempt. Packlin is still second on the count back. And Avdiyenko is third on the count back, all having cleared 2.38 meters. Mogenberg, however, has one jump left and is still in the competition. However, if he misses, he'll stay fourth with 2.35. Men's high jump, same as the women's. A lot of passing going to try to regain the initiative, because if two jumpers clear the... Up there. So back again to his last attempt, which he certainly did on the previous height. The crowd is packed. Nobody has left the stadium. And comes in. Beautiful running. Look at that drive. He's lovely arch, but not that time. We'll get this with, yes, he's got that with on the way up slightly. And of course, down he comes on top of it. It's an incredible height. So Packlin has had his second miss. And he will be followed by Sjöberg. Great applause. You can see the background to his left was the Swedish flag. He may have been a rebel, Ron, but he certainly can high jump.
Yeah, he certainly can. What I often invite people to do, though, just to realise how tall these guys are, what height they're getting over, is just to go and measure it on the doorway or something and stand and have a look at it and realise just how high this height is at 2.40.
It's unbelievable. I mean, we're getting very close to that 8-foot mark. Sjöberg's second attempt, 2.40 meters. I'm sure he thought that he had the competition won at 2.38, but the Russians certainly put pressure on him. Sjöberg, second attempt, 2.40. A collective ooh from about 60,000 people. So close. This received an enormous ovation from the crowd. Here's the repeat. See how much height he gets. Look at the height. He's dragged through, and he's got it with the virtually his back of his upper leg.
Maybe the hairs of the back of his upper leg, Paul. So close.
Oh, look at the height. It might have been the hairs. Oh, look out. There's a little bit of coaching there. That'll be one of the coaches. We'll ask Maury if he recognises that. One of the coaches? That's Schaubert's coach.
Is coaching allowed yet, Paul? I mean, it was passed at the last IWF conference that it could be allowed, but not yet.
That I'm not to respond to that. I think when they pass something, it takes 12 months for it to come into effect. There'll be a lot of athletes in trouble if they really enforced it, because all the pole vaulters were being coached from up in the stand, and the long jumpers the same. So, and of course they help each other out there as well. Certainly Malchenko, the other Russian who got eliminated, is helping him. Now this is, we've got the word here from Maury Plant, who has told us that Avdayenko, with Bubka and his coach Petrov, all come from the Ukraine.
So they speak the same language.
Well, certainly. 2 meters 40.
And as Avdiyenko is about to attempt 240, Brisbane and Adelaide will have to leave us in the next half minute or so. Thanks very much for being with us over the 8 days. We hope you've enjoyed it as much as we have. You've seen some track and field. In fact, you've seen track and field at its absolute best. Here's Avdiyenko on the runway.
Avdayenko's second attempt.
Ballarat school teacher finished 4th behind Kenya's Douglas Wakahuri. For the first time in his career, Robert De Castella failed to finish. Carl Lewis, the great American, picked up his second gold at the championships.
The Canadian Peter Maher broke from the pack soon after leaving the stadium. He maintained his lead, and at the 20k mark had opened up a handy break on the main pack, which included 2 Australians, De Castella and Steve Monaghetti, running in only his second marathon. A Kanga and Britain's Hugh Jones were also well placed. It seemed they were waiting for the defending champion to make his move. However, De Castella stunned them all by dropping off the pace at the 26k mark. His protege, Monaghetti, though, kept in touch and looked totally composed. De Castella was nowhere to be seen at 30k. At the 35k mark, Monaghetti, Salar and Wakahuru were the leading trio. Monaghetti showed his first sign of fatigue at the 36k mark as Douglas Wakahuru of Kenya broke away at St Peter's Square. From there, he was never headed, giving Kenya its 3rd gold medal in Rome. He finished in 2:11.47 and received a hero's welcome when he hit the stadium.
This Kenyan has been quite outstanding. It's been a remarkable win. So an unknown becomes world champion. It's a fabulous day for Kenya.
Bordin of Italy finished behind Salah but edged Monaghetti out of the bronze medal.
He's taken on the world and he's finished in 4th place. Well done.
The first track medal decided on the final day was the women's 4x100 relay. Pam Marshall anchored the United States to a new national and world championship record.
The US come home and they run 41.57. That's just 2/10 outside the world record.
Carl Lewis then grabbed his second gold of the meet with an explosive anchor leg in the men's 4x100 for the United States' second triumph of the final day in Rome.
Carl's coming at him. Carl will get up. Look at this Superman. What a runner.
While Lewis was brilliant, the 1,500 metres favourite Steve Cram was an abject failure in his final. Abdi Billy of Somalia took gold as Australia's Michael Hillhart finished ahead of Cram in 7th place. The women's
had a highlight package tonight.
Now it's time for our weekly review of the past 7 days.
Winner of gold medals in the heptathlon and long jump, Jackie says anything is possible when you've got God in your corner.
God can give it, and God can take it away.
Another champion with God in his corner is heavyweight.
Her amazing speed on the track made her the fastest woman in the world over 100 and 200 metres, but it was her outrageous outfits and fashioned fingernails which have really set her apart. Most sprinters are getting too old for world-class competition at 28, but Flojo has a special ingredient to drive her on. And in this report, Bill Geist gives us a look at the lady behind the makeup.
Perfect, good, and good, excellent, almost finished, and Great.
모두 자리에 앉아주시기 바랍니다.
Что вы думаете после того, что произошло с Дэном?
Bonjour.
You are chosen the best dresser of the Seoul Olympic Games by Korean Daily News.
She's the center of attention in Seoul, where she's proven herself the fastest woman in the world and in history. And she's done it in style. This isn't the way you think of a track and field athlete, but with Florence Griffith-Joyner, everything is a little different.
I've always been different from a child. I had a snake that I had for 9 years. Her name was Brandy, and I used to take her everywhere I went. And I got put out of malls occasionally for wearing her because the people were afraid of her. But I did have a snake.
I've never seen that listed in a dress code at a mall. It says no shirts, no shoes, no boa constrictor. And there are all sorts of anecdotes about you, and another one was that you used to chase jackrabbits out in the desert. Did you ever catch any?
I remember just catching just one out of the millions of rabbits that ran across.
How do you think you'd do if you went out there now?
Maybe one or two.
In the past year, Florence Griffith-Joyner has been doing more than chasing jackrabbits. She's captured worldwide attention.
Lovely. Great. Excellent.
Wilma Rudolph was the star of the 1960 Olympics, dominating the same events.
It is so wonderful to see the world of track and field take a turn, especially for a black woman. There has never been a time that we've gotten major endorsements, major television coverage, and I think Florence will be the very first one.
Did he stay relaxed?
All of this has come through long hours on practice tracks, out of the spotlight.
$27.67.
Al Joyner, winner of his own gold medal in the triple jump in the 1984 Olympics, met Florence 2 years ago when her running career was on the wane.
When me and Florence had first started dating, I was running with her. I said, wow, you are tough. You know, that's the first thing I said. You are really fast. I just thought it was deceiving. And then when I started watching her run, I said, wow, you can go a lot faster than you think you can go.
The two dedicated themselves to training Florence for a gold medal performance in Seoul. In the process, Al missed making the team and is cheering her on from the sidelines.
My ego is fine because when we got married, I knew this was, we was going to become one. And to me, in a marriage, it always had to be one person that's going to give and another person going to take. And as long as if a person is giving and taking, as long as both of them giving, they're going to come out ahead, and both of us are giving people.
Sometimes I didn't sleep for 24 to 48 hours because I had to work. I had to be to work for 7:30. Then I had to train. I had to lift weights. And it was those moments that I was so sleepy and I wanted to go to sleep that I couldn't, that Al was there to say, well, you got to stay up, you got to go to work.
You look good. Al became coach, trainer, chief cook, and bottle washer. The results have been astonishing. At age 28, when most sprinters are slowing down, Florence went to the Olympic trials in Indianapolis last summer and stunned the world by demolishing the world record in the 100-meter dash. And she did it with long hair flying, nails glistening, and sporting a wide array of flashy outfits.
I've never really enjoyed the standard track and field outfit.
And you had one, didn't you, at Indianapolis? It was kind of a lace, almost a Madonna kind of look on the track.
Yes, it was a lace athletic negligee.
Can you show us a little bit about your fingernails here, all the different designs you have on them and stuff?
Well, I decorate them in the USA colors, red, white, and blue.
Is that just for the Olympics?
For the Olympics, yeah. Yes. And then gold, of course, for the gold medals that I'm wishing for. And I wrote gold on that one.
Are you going to have to cut your nails when you go to Seoul?
Oh, no. They were longer than this in '84. But
She became a sensation.
Gateshead has a reputation for well-organized meetings attracting high-quality performers. Today, with Florence Griffith-Joyner, the world's fastest woman in the 100 meters, the stadium's security was temporarily breached as an autograph hunter briefly manhandled the American star.
There has been no escaping her fans. Now, your image is of a very flashy, stylish person and everything, but people who know you say that you're actually kind of introverted, shy, you keep to yourself and so on. Is that true?
Yes, that is true. You won't find me out at a party or anything. I stay around the home a lot. I do a lot of reading, writing. Al and I go to the movies occasionally, but I'm more of a homebody.
Her Olympic victories have been so overwhelming that a lot of people here couldn't believe they were quite true. In the wake of the Ben Johnson incident, rumors have been rampant that Florence and her sister-in-law, gold medal winner Jackie Joyner-Kersee, would both test positive for drugs. They did not.
People are going to say things, they're going to make speculations about you. That's what it's all about, of being on top and being good. People always have things to say about you. I had to put that behind me. I said, well, I'll show them tomorrow. And I want the world record, and I prayed for it. And I said that I'll turn all that negative energy that they tried to give me and turn it into positive energy and go out there and do the best that I can do.
Florence Griffith-Joyner says the secret miracle ingredient in her success isn't a drug, it's Al.
She had a desire. She wanted to be the best. She wanted to be a perfectionist.
Now, Al has a few plans of his own, to be an Olympic hurdler.
For the next 4 years, I'll be training to be a 110-meter high hurdler and hope to go to Barcelona. No, I changed that. I will go to Barcelona and represent the United States in the 110-meter high hurdles with the encouragement of my wife.
I plan to do more writing, doing more designs, doing some of the things that I do in addition to track and field. Once I retire from track and field, being a sprinter, I look forward to becoming a marathoner.
A marathon?
Yes.
Are you serious?
I'm very serious. I love distance running, and I really believe that I can run.
That's going to scare a lot of people out there.
Good.
Great story there from Bill Geist, and what a lady. But interesting that despite FloJo's popularity, she still didn't win the Female Athlete of the Year in the United States. That went to her sister-in-law, Jackie Joyner-Kersee. So that's the second year in a row. But what a great lady, and it makes you wonder what Al Joyner's going to be like when he gets into that hurdling with the support of FloJo.
Yeah, no doubt the superstar of the Seoul Games. But I thought the thing that I liked out of that story was the fact that they worked together. Al was prepared to sit back and teach, and FloJo just said, well, I'll do the learning this time, then it's your time next time. I mean, they just one people, and I think there's a lesson we could all learn out of that.
Yeah, overcoming the ageing process almost, because 28 years of age, that's old for a sprinter.
But you look at her, and you think the ego would be unbelievable because of all the flashy gear and the nails, but quite the opposite. Interesting one. Okay, when we come back, we'll